Chapter 2104. Don't be ridiculous. I'm going with Mr. Mo to do something important. How can I bring you with me? Zhou Liang rejected his wife's request without hesitation. He had a righteous expression on his face. Hearing Zhou Liang's reply, the woman looked disappointed. She looked at Mo Qingyun pleadingly and said, Mr. Mo, my husband and I are newlyweds. Do you have the heart to separate us? Qian Xiuli, don't be rude. Seeing the woman's behavior, Qianqiu Hongtu's face turned serious and he scolded her. Hearing Qianqiu Hongtu's scolding, Qian Xiuli looked wronged. Her eyes were filled with resentment. Seeing the wronged Qian Xiuli, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, Since you've said so, I can't separate you. You can come with us. Really? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Xiuli was overjoyed. Her face was filled with excitement. She didn't expect Mo Qingyun to agree to her request. Seeing the joy on Qian Xiuli's face, Qianqiu Hongtu frowned and said, Mr. Mo, Qian Xiuli doesn't know her limits. Don't let her do as she pleases. Master, don't worry. I won't cause trouble for Mr. Mo. Seeing Qianqiu Hongtu's reaction, Qian Xiuli immediately promised. Then she said to Mo Qingyun, Mr. Mo, my cooking skills are excellent. If you let me come with you, I can make you delicacies. You said it. Don't go back on your words. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at Qian Xiuli's words. He didn't take it too seriously. He didn't want Qian Xiuli to come with him to make delicacies. He wanted Qian Xiuli to keep an eye on Zhou Liang. After all, Zhou Liang wasn't under his control. Therefore, he didn't know what Zhou Liang was thinking. If Qian Xiuli came with him, it wouldn't be a bad choice for her to keep an eye on Zhou Liang. This, seeing that Mo Qingyun was really going to bring Qi Qiuli along, Qiqiu Hongtu hesitated, wondering if he should persuade him again. Without waiting for Qianqiu Hongtu to speak, Mo Qingyun waved his hand and smiled. All right, it's settled then. Let's set off now. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zhou and Liang immediately responded and followed Mo Qingyun out of the hall. When Mo Qingyun walked out of the main hall, Qianqiu Hongtu hurriedly followed behind him and sent Mo Qingyun out of the Thousand Autumn Manor. After exiting Thousand Autumn's mansion, Mo Qingyun took out the flying boat and prepared to set off. This is the flying boat of the Divine Boat clan. Seeing Mo Qingyun's flying boat, Zhou Liang was shocked as he recognized the origin of the flying boat. That's right. This is indeed a flying boat refined by the Divine Boat clan. Mo Qingyun did not hide from Zhou Liang's question. He nodded at him affirmatively and said, All right, let's all enter the flying boat. After saying that, Mo Qingyun took the lead and entered the flying boat. He steered the flying boat towards Thousand Language City. The distance between Thousand Language City and Thousand Spirit City was not particularly close. With the flying boat's speed, it would take at least 3 days to reach Thousand Language City. Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry. Everything was planned in an orderly manner. During the journey, Qi Qiuli did not go back on her words and made many delicacies. Because of Qi Qiuli's delicacies and her and Zhou Liang's banter, the journey was much more enjoyable. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. After 3 days of continuous travel, Mo Qingyun and the others finally arrived at Thousand Language City. As the Divine Boat clan's flying boat was too eye-catching, Mo Qingyun did not drive directly into the city. He still stopped not far away from the city. He did not want to attract the attention of the Dark Demon race because of the flying boat and add unforeseen changes to his plan. Let's go. Walking out of the flying boat, Mo Qingyun instructed Zhou Liang and the other two and took the lead to walk towards Thousand Language City. Seeing Mo Qingyun moving forward, Zhou Liang and the other two hurriedly followed and entered Thousand Language City together. Thump, thump, thump. Mo Qingyun had just walked into Thousand Language City when his eyes twitched violently, giving him a feeling of unease. This feeling was a sign of impending danger. Could it be that my whereabouts have been discovered? ZK and the rest are here to hunt me down? Sensing the uneasiness in his heart, Mo Qingyun revealed a puzzled expression and guessed the reason for this situation. Or is it because the flying boat attracted the attention of the experts, and they came to harm me? The more Mo Qingyun thought about it, the more surprised he became. He also became more and more curious about the current situation. Seeing Mo Qingyun stop and reveal a nervous expression, Qian Linglong revealed a worried expression and asked, "Qingyun, what's wrong with you? Is there something wrong?" "No." Hearing Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head and did not tell her the truth. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Linglong did not ask any more questions and silently followed behind Mo Qingyun. After giving a simple reply to Qian Linglong, Mo Qingyun was still frowning as he guessed the reason for his uneasiness. One should know that there was no news of him coming to 1,000 illusions. Logically speaking, even with ZK and the rest spies, it should be difficult for them to discover his whereabouts. Forget it, let's not think about it. After thinking hard, Mo Qingyun shook his head and stopped thinking about this problem. After walking for a while in the city, Mo Qingyun came to a restaurant and led Qian Linglong and the rest into it. Mo Qingyun entered the restaurant and booked a few rooms. He then turned to Zhou Liang and instructed, "Zhou Liang, go and find your martial uncle immediately and explain the situation to him. We will visit him later." "Yes." After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Zhou Liang did not dare to hesitate and immediately went to see his martial uncle. After instructing Zhou Liang, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong returned to their respective rooms. When Mo Qingyun returned to his room, the uneasiness did not disappear. Instead, it became more intense. Could it be that this uneasiness came from Zhou Liang's martial uncle? Seeing that the uneasiness in his heart had become more intense, Mo Qingyun had a puzzled look on his face as he speculated about this possibility. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he became more vigilant and began to be wary of Zhou Liang's martial uncle. Following this, time passed little by little as Mo Qingyun waited. After about 2 hours, Zhou Liang, who had gone to deliver the news, rushed back with a hurried expression. "Mr. Mo, everything has been settled. My martial uncle is leading us in the Bloodsword sect." When Zhou Liang returned to the Floral Lingo restaurant, he found Mo Qingyun and reported the situation of his trip. In that case, let's go over now. Chapter 2105. Not long after, Mo Qingyun and the others arrived at the Bloodsword sect under Zhou Liang's lead. As soon as Mo Qingyun arrived at the Bloodsword sect, a tall middle-aged man was already waiting for them at the entrance. Unsurprisingly, this tall middle-aged man was Zhou Liang's martial uncle. "This must be Mr. Mo, right?" Seeing Mo Qingyun in front of Zhou Liang, Chen Huangyi immediately went up and greeted them warmly. "Everyone, please follow me inside. I've already ordered people to prepare food and wine." "Thank you for your trouble, Sect Master Chen." Seeing Chen Huangyi's warm actions, Mo Qingyun smiled and followed Chen Huangyi into the Bloodsword sect. After entering the Bloodsword sect, Mo Qingyun immediately raised his guard and paid attention to Chen Huangyi. Regardless of whether the reason for his uneasiness came from Chen Huangyi or not, it was always good to be careful. Not long after, Mo Qingyun walked into an elegant courtyard under Chen Huangyi's lead. There was already a banquet set up in the courtyard. There were all sorts of delicacies piled on the tables, which whetted one's appetite. There was an empty space in the center of the tables. At this moment, there were a few women twisting their graceful bodies and dancing gracefully. "Sect Master, everything is ready." Seeing Chen Huangyi and the others arrive, a man in a cloak walked over to Chen Huangyi. Seeing this person greet him, Chen Huangyi immediately nodded and said, "Protector Tian, I'll take care of this place. You can take your people down first." "Yes." Hearing Chen Huangyi's order, the cloak Protector Tian nodded and turned to leave. However, when Protector Tian turned around to leave, he secretly took a glance at Mo Qingyun with a gloomy and cold expression. Clearly, this Protector Tian knew Mo Qingyun and had quite a bit of enmity for Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun immediately sensed Protector Tian's cold gaze and turned to look at him. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was looking at him, Protector Tian immediately withdrew his gaze and left with his subordinates. That person seems familiar. Mo Qingyun frowned as he looked at Protector Tion's back. Doubt rose in his heart. Although this Protector Tion used a cloak and mask to cover his face, Mo Qingyun was sure that he recognized him. After looking at Protector Tion's back a few times, Mo Qingyun withdrew his gaze and was unwilling to pay attention to him for the time being. Mo Qingyun believed that no matter how mysterious the other party was, his identity would eventually be exposed. Mr. Mo, come over here quickly. Let's sit down and talk. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was still standing there in a daze, Chen Huangyi once again called for Mo Qingyun and the others to take their seats. Hearing Chen Huangyi's greeting, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately sat down beside Chen Huangyi. After calling for Mo Qingyun and the others to sit down, Chen Huangyi glanced at Qian Xiuli and smiled at Mo Qingyun. Mr. Mo, thank you for being the matchmaker for Zhou Liang and helping him find a good marriage. After Chen Huangyi finished speaking, he did not hesitate and immediately raised his cup to Mo Qingyun. Seeing Chen Huangyi's action, Mo Qingyun could not help but be stunned. Was he the matchmaker? Although he was a little surprised, Mo Qingyun also raised his cup and clinked it with Chen Huangyi's. Next, everyone started to chat with each other, and the atmosphere was quite harmonious. This was a stark contrast to Mo Qingyun's expectations. It seems that the uneasiness in my heart does not come from Chen Huangyi. After chatting with Chen Huangyi for a while, Mo Qingyun was certain. He thought of the heavenly guardian from before. If I'm not mistaken, the person who really makes me feel uneasy is that mysterious heavenly guardian. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, he no longer hesitated. He immediately asked Chen Huangyi, "Sect leader Chen, who is the protector? He's very similar to someone I know." "You're talking about the protector?" Chen Huangyi laughed heartily when he heard Mo Qingyun mention the protector. Admiration appeared on his face as he said, "The protector has an extraordinary background. Although he has tried his best to hide his identity, I can still see some clues. He should be an expert from the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan." The Heavenly Soul Demon Clan? Mo Qingyun was stunned when he heard Chen Huangyi's words. He was very surprised by Chen Huangyi's words. He had thought of many possibilities, but he had never thought that the protector would be from the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan. Is the protector from the Tang faction? The more Mo Qingyun thought about it, the more puzzled he became. He was also very curious about the protector's identity. It had been more than 10 years since he had left the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan. Logically speaking, the Tang faction should not have any information about him. It was even more impossible for them to set up an ambush here. No matter who you are, don't even think about hiding anymore. Although Mo Qingyun was not sure about the protector's identity, everything was much easier now that he had a clue. When Chen Huangyi saw that Mo Qingyun was deep in thought, he poured another cup of wine and said with a smile, "Mr. Mo, I heard from Zhou Liang that you are from the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan. Perhaps you really know the protector." Qian Linglong and the others were stunned when they heard Chen Huangyi's words. They were also very curious about the protector's identity. While Qian Linglong and the others were curious, Chen Huangyi thought for a moment and said, "Why don't I call the protector over so that the two of you can meet? Someone, call the protector over." Before Mo Qingyun could reply, Chen Huangyi waved his hand and ordered his subordinates. When the subordinates heard Chen Huangyi's order, they immediately went to pass on the message. After a while, the protector arrived in front of everyone. He was still in the same attire as before. "Protector Tian, Mr. Mo is the same as you. He is from the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan." When Chen Huangyi saw the protector come to his side, he pointed at Mo Qingyun and introduced him to the protector. He said, "Why don't you take off your mask and meet Mr. Mo? Mr. Mo is the peerless genius of our clan. I am very familiar with his name," the protector said as he looked at Mo Qingyun. Protector Tian spoke in a strange manner as he looked at Mo Qingyun in front of him, after which he shook his head and said, "As for me, I am merely a wild crane. Young master, Mo definitely does not recognize me. There is no need to remove my mask." When he heard the protector's words, Zhou Liang was immediately displeased. He said angrily, "Protector Tian, this is my martial uncle's idea. Are you not going to listen to him?" When he heard Zhou Yang's words, Chun Huangyi immediately frowned and revealed a troubled expression. Evidently, the Protector's position in the Bloodsword sect was not as simple as it seemed. Protector Tian remained where he was as he looked at the troubled Chun Huangyi. He said calmly, "Sect Master, when I joined the Bloodsword sect, we made an agreement. You're not to ask about my identity at all." Chun Huangyi's frown deepened when he heard the Protector's words. He seemed a little apologetic. When he saw that Chun Huangyi was still silent, the Protector did not stop talking. He said, "If there is nothing else, I will take my leave." Chapter 2106. Young Master Mo, I've let you see a joke. Protector Tian's personality is like this. Seeing Protector Tian's actions, Chun Huangyi looked embarrassed. He smiled at Mo Qingyun and said, "You should know that for a force like the Bloodsword clan, we have to give him special treatment if we want to recruit someone like Protector Tian." Hearing Chun Huangyi's words, Mo Qingyun nodded. He could understand his thoughts and feelings. This was indeed the case. Cultivators of the Saint Plane had some pride. It was not easy to recruit them, unless they were like Mo Qingyun, who frequently used thunderous methods to forcefully suppress others. "Thank you, Mr. Mo, for your understanding." Hearing Mo Qingyun's reply, Chun Huangyi immediately showed gratitude. He cupped his hands at Mo Qingyun. Seeing Chun Huangyi's actions, Mo Qingyun's impression of him immediately improved. As a cultivator of the Saint Plane, it was not easy for Chun Huangyi to be so polite to him, a junior of the Nine Heavens Xian Immortal Realm. Even if it was for Zhou Yang's sake, it was a very rare thing. "Clan Leader Chun, I came to visit you this time to ask you about the current situation in Qinyu City." After exchanging some pleasantries with Chun Huangyi, Mo Qingyun did not beat around the bush and directly stated his intentions. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Huangyi's expression became serious. He carefully looked at Mo Qingyun and said, "The current situation in Qinyu City is a bit complicated. On the surface, the Qinyu clan is in charge. In fact, the Qinyu clan has been controlled by the Dark Devil clan." As expected, Mo Qingyun nodded in understanding. He did not show too much surprise. The situation was similar to what he had guessed. After talking about the situation of the Qianyu lineage, Chun Huangyi did not stop talking and began to talk about the situation of other forces. He said, "Now, in Qinyu City, in addition to the Qianyu lineage, there are several forces that are not weak, such as the Jinxing Palace, the Heavenly Mandate Pavilion, and the Bloody Corpse Demon Sect. They are all forces that can compete with the Qianyu lineage." After listening to Chun Huangyi's recount, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of Thousand Language City's situation. Mo Qingyun revealed a curious expression when he found out about the division of forces in the Thousand Language City. Then he continued to ask Chun Huangyi, "By the way, are there any experts of the late stage of the Sage Realm in the Thousand Language City?" An expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm? Chun Huangyi was surprised. He couldn't understand Mo Qingyun's question. Mo Qingyun was a person of the first level of the Nine Heavens Xian Immortal Realm. There seemed to be a gap between him and an expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm. Although he was a little puzzled in his heart about why Mo Qingyun asked this, Chun Huangyi still answered truthfully, "There are no experts of the late stage of the Sage Realm in the Thousand Language City. However, the Palace Master of the Jinxing Palace, Xinglang, was once an expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm at his peak. If there are no experts of the late stage of the Sage Realm, then things will be much easier." After knowing the situation of the experts in the Thousand Spirit City, Mo Qingyun's hanging heart was relieved. In this way, he had nothing to fear. As for the uneasiness in his heart at this moment, it had eased a lot, as if it was fading little by little. However, Mo Qingyun did not relax his vigilance because of this. He was still wary of Guardian Tian. That person gave him a very mysterious feeling. At the same time, he was also very mysterious. I need to pay attention to this Xinglang. After knowing some information about Xinglang, Mo Qingyun's heart was like a mirror, and he paid attention to Xinglang. Next, Mo Qingyun asked a few more things, and Chen Huangyi answered without reservation. After answering Mo Qingyun's questions, Chen Huangyi revealed an embarrassed expression and smiled. Mr. Mo, I heard some things about you from Zhou Liang. Our Blood Sword sect is now recruiting consecrators. I wonder if you're interested in this? Seeing Chen Huangyi's solicitation, Mo Qingyun turned to look at Zhou Liang with a cold gaze. In his opinion, Zhou Liang might have said something that shouldn't have been said during the conversation with Chen Huangyi. Seeing Mo Qingyun looking at him with displeasure, Zhou Liang's expression shook, and he hurriedly shook his head at Mo Qingyun. Obviously, he wanted to tell Mo Qingyun that he hadn't said anything nonsense. Seeing Zhou Liang's reaction, Mo Qingyun's expression improved a little. He waved his hand at Chen Huangyi and said, Sect Leader Chen, I'm used to being a carefree person. I don't want to join any forces for the time being. I can only apologize for your kindness. It's fine. Chen Huangyi didn't care about Mo Qingyun's rejection. He smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun and said, Mr. Mo, you can go back and think about it. The position of consecrator of our Blood Sword sect is reserved for you. You can take it at any time. Thank you for your kindness, Sect Leader Chen. I'll go back and think about it. Seeing Chen Huangyi's proposal again, Mo Qingyun didn't refuse and gave a tactful answer. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chen Huangyi didn't mention it anymore and talked about other things with Mo Qingyun. Next, everyone chatted like this for a few hours. Sect Leader Chen, it's getting late. We won't disturb you any longer. After getting the information he wanted from Chen Huangyi, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave the Blood Sword sect, Chen Huangyi immediately stood up to send him off. He sent Mo Qingyun out of the sect and said, Mr. Mo, I hope you can go back and think about my suggestion. Okay. Mo Qingyun nodded in response. Then, Mo Qingyun left with Qian Linglong and the others, slowly disappearing from Chen Huangyi's sight. Seeing Mo Qingyun gradually disappear, Chen Huangyi was disappointed. He sighed and shook his head. This Mo Qingyun's bloodline is very powerful. He must be a genius of the heavenly soul demons. It would be great if I could recruit him. What a pity. Chen Huangyi murmured to himself. He stopped thinking about it and turned around to enter the Blood Sword sect. As soon as Chen Huangyi entered the Blood Sword sect, he saw the protector walk over. The protector stopped before him and said, Sect Leader, I have an important matter to attend to, so I'll be leaving the Blood Sword sect for a while. Hearing Protector Tian's words, Chen Huangyi's eyes narrowed as he pondered. Mo Qingyun had just left the Blood Sword sect, and the protector was leaving for a while. Wasn't this a little too much of a coincidence? All right. Chen Huangyi was curious about the protector's actions, but he didn't ask too much. He only nodded nonchalantly. In his eyes, this was a matter of the heavenly soul demons. There was no need for him to get involved. After saying that to Chen Huangyi, the protector did not stay any longer. He quickly left the Blood Sword sect. The protector smiled sinisterly after leaving the Blood Sword sect. He murmured to himself, Mo Qingyun, I've waited for over a decade in the 1,000 illusions. You finally appeared. I'd like to see who can save you this time. Chapter 2107. Mo Qingyun knew nothing about Protector Tian's pursuit. He left the Blood Sword sect and brought Qian Linglong and the others back to the Floral Lingo restaurant. When Mo Qingyun returned to the Floral Lingo restaurant, he went straight to Qian Linglong's room to discuss the plan with her. While Mo Qingyun and Protector Tian were discussing, a man in a black cloak quietly came to their room. When Protector Tian approached, Mo Qingyun sensed him and said indifferently, Friend, since you are here, please come in and have a seat. After Mo Qingyun said that, he opened the door and let Protector Tian in. Protector Tian was slightly surprised when he saw Mo Qingyun's action. He did not expect Mo Qingyun to be so vigilant. After a short moment of surprise, Protector Tian did not hesitate and walked into Mo Qingyun's room. After Protector Tian entered the room, he closed the door and quickly took out a magic treasure. The magic treasure was a small black box. It emitted a spatial energy and a shocking fluctuation of array power. Soon, the small black box magic treasure enveloped Qian Linglong's room. When Mo Qingyun saw this, he quickly understood that he and Qian Linglong were trapped. Mo Qingyun didn't panic in the face of such a situation. He smiled faintly and said, "Friend, from the looks of it, you seem to want to use this to isolate the aftershocks of the battle and kill the two of us here." When Protector Tian heard Mo Qingyun's words, he immediately smiled coldly and said, "Mo Qingyun, you are indeed quick-witted. You saw through my plan with just a glance. However, there is no reward. All right, now that we have reached this point, you can reveal your true face." Mo Qingyun remained calm in the face of Protector Tian's pride. He spread his hands at Protector Tian. When Protector Tian heard Mo Qingyun's words, he immediately laughed proudly. He slowly took off his mask and said, "Mo Qingyun, look carefully. Who am I?" As Protector Tian spoke, his face was revealed. It was someone Mo Qingyun was familiar with. "Tingsha, it's you." When they saw Protector Tian's true face, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong were shocked. They did not expect Protector Tian to be him. They always thought that Protector Tian was not from the Dark Demon clan and should have been planted with the Heavenly Soul Demon bloodline. Protector Tian was not only from the Dark Demon clan, but also Tung Sha, whom they were familiar with. When he saw the shock on Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong's faces, the pride on Tung Sha's face deepened. He laughed sinisterly and said, "That year, when I found out about this girl's identity, I left the Heavenly Soul Demon clan and have been planting spies in 1,000 illusions to find out about the two of you." Tung Sha paused and swept his gaze across Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong. He laughed coldly and said, "I did not expect that the two of you would deliver yourself to my doorstep today. This is really traveling far and wide only to find it by chance. Tung Sha, in order to deal with me, you actually camped in 1,000 illusions for more than 10 years. How patient." After knowing some of Tung Sha's actions, Mo Qingyun revealed an indifferent smile and mocked Tung Sha. With regards to Mo Qingyun's mockery, Tung Sha did not take it to heart. He raised his head and laughed coldly. "I only waited for 10 years. For a godly object like the Gate of Destinies, even if I had to wait for 100 years, it wouldn't matter." As he spoke these proud words, the corners of Tung Sha's mouth curled upwards. He coldly said, "Mo Qingyun, on account that you are a genius of my clan and are of great use to my clan, if you are willing to submit to me, I can spare your life." "Tung Sha, how can you be so sure that we are the prey?" Hearing Tung Sha's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head. His eyes were filled with disdain and mockery. Tung Sha's cultivation was only at the peak of the initial stage of the sage stage. With his level of strength, Mo Qingyun could easily kill him. Of course, Tung Sha was completely ignorant of this fact. Tung Sha did not seem to mind Mo Qingyun's words at all. He glanced at Qian Linglong and said, "I know that this girl is also at the sage stage. However, she was severely injured by the decaying soul demon. It is already a miracle that she is still alive. How much strength does she have left?" "Umph. Who told you that I don't have much strength left?" As Tung Sha's words fell, Qian Linglong cried out and released her aura. Sensing Qian Linglong's aura, Tung Sha's expression changed drastically and his eyes widened. Sage. Sage Advanced Stage. Sensing Qian Linglong's cultivation, Tung Sha immediately cried out in shock and his face turned pale. Such a powerful existence could crush him to death with a single finger. "No, this is impossible." After knowing Qian Linglong's cultivation, Tung Sha's expression became agitated, and he said in disbelief, 10 years ago, you were only at the intermediate stage of the sage stage. Furthermore, you were severely injured by the decaying soul demon. How could you have broken through to the advanced stage of the sage stage?" There is always a difference between reality and imagination. In response to Tung Sha's shock and panic, Mo Qingyun spoke at a steady pace. He was not in a hurry to attack Tung Sha. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Tung Sha's expression changed, and he seemed to have realized that he had been careless. "Oomph, I will capture you first. Let's see what that girl can do to me." Tung Sha's expression was uncertain for a moment before his expression hardened, and he gritted his teeth as he charged towards Mo Qingyun and shouted, "Mo Qingyun, you are still too inexperienced. In our battle, I am destined to have a last laugh." As Tung Sha's words fell, his figure flashed, and he quickly closed in on Mo Qingyun. He was certain that at such a close distance, he would suddenly attack Mo Qingyun. Even if Qian Linglong was at the advanced stage of the Sage stage, it would be impossible for her to stop him. What made Tung Sha even happier was that Qian Linglong did not have the slightest intention of stopping him. In other words, his actions were too sudden, and Qian Linglong did not even have time to react. When he saw this scene, the pleased expression on Tung Sha's face instantly became more intense as he laughed heartily. "Mo Qingyun, I will definitely win. Obediently accept your death." Without waiting for Tung Sha to finish speaking, his expression turned sluggish as his eyes filled with the color of blood. He could not believe that a suffocating aura was actually emitted from Mo Qingyun's body. While he was still in shock, Mo Qingyun casually waved his hand and unleashed a terrifying palm shadow. Bang! The palm shadow blasted out with an unstoppable force and sent him flying. Following which, Tung Sha slammed into the black box Dharma treasure and heavily fell to the ground. Fortunately, Tung Sha had used the black box Dharma treasure. Otherwise, this collision would have destroyed the entire Flower Lingo restaurant. Chapter 2108. When he heard Mo Qingyun's words, Tung Sha's expression immediately trembled as his face turned pale. He had never imagined that the outcome would be like this. He was actually not a match for Mo Qingyun. "Humph, it will not be easy for you to kill me." As Tung Sha's words fell, he immediately activated the black box Dharma treasure with a thought, following which an astonishing wave of formation energy appeared around Tung Sha. Enveloped by this wave of formation energy, Tung Sha's body rapidly faded, as if he was about to disappear from Mo Qingyun's sight. Trying to escape. When he saw Tung Sha's actions, Mo Qingyun's expression darkened as he raised his hand and sent a palm strike towards him. An imposing palm shadow, accompanied by an astonishing demonic aura, slammed into the transparent Tung Sha's body. Bang! After receiving Mo Qingyun's palm strike, Tung Sha's body immediately jerked as a dull thud sounded out. Following which, the formation energy enveloping Tung Sha also dissipated a little. However, under the protection of the formation energy, Tung Sha finally managed to escape from the room. Escaped. As he watched Tung Sha escape from the room, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed, somewhat surprised by this situation. He never imagined that Tung Sha would actually be able to escape under such circumstances. However, Mo Qingyun did not mind. After a slight pause, he said, "You can escape, but you can't escape. I don't believe that you will never return to the Heavenly Soul Demon Clan." Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. Without hesitation, he began to undo the imprisonment of the Black Box Dharma treasure. Even though the Black Box Dharma treasure's formation was exquisite, given Mo Qingyun's mastery of formations, it was still unable to trap him. Not long after, under Mo Qingyun's hands, the Black Box Dharma treasure's formation was broken. Not only that, the spiritual imprint on the Black Box Dharma treasure was forcefully erased by Mo Qingyun. Now, this Black Box Dharma treasure had already become Mo Qingyun's middle-grade saint weapon. After carefully examining the black box, Mo Qingyun revealed a surprised expression. He was surprised by its grade. It was actually a mid-grade saint artifact. "Looks like I have to thank Tung Sha for giving me a mid-saint artifact." Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. He put away the black box magic treasure and prepared to refine it when he had the time. When Mo Qingyun kept the black box, Qian Linglong walked up and asked, "If I'm not wrong, Tung Sha should have escaped back to the Bloodsword sect. Should we head over now?" "No need." In response to Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head and said, Given sect leader Chen's character, he will definitely not allow us to kill Teng Sha at the Bloodsword sect. In order to not cause trouble for him, we will not go to the Bloodsword sect to kill Teng Sha. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Linglong immediately nodded her head in agreement. She felt that Mo Qingyun's consideration was good. Seeing that they were not going to kill Teng Sha, Qian Linglong revealed a curious expression and said, "Since we are not going to kill Teng Sha, what are we going to do next? We are new to the thousand-language city and are not familiar with everything. Let's walk around first." Mo Qingyun thought for a while and suggested to Qian Linglong as they walked out of the house. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qian Linglong's eyes lit up and a sweet smile immediately appeared on her face. Although she was the saintess of the 1,000 illusions, she could not help but have a feminine nature. She liked to walk around the streets and shops. Following which, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong left the Floral Language restaurant together. When they arrived at the Thousand Language City, Qian Linglong was like a young girl in the prime of her youth. She curiously walked around the shops one by one. Seeing Qian Linglong's actions, Mo Qingyun could only shake his head and smile. He did not expect Qian Linglong to have such a side to her. Qian Linglong's current behavior was a little similar to Long Hanyan. She gave off the feeling of a pretty girl from a humble family. After an hour, Mo Qingyun accompanied Qian Linglong to a precious treasure pavilion called Birdsong and Fragrance of Flowers. This precious treasure pavilion was very spacious, and the interior of the pavilion was very luxurious. It was the #1 precious treasure pavilion in the thousand-language city. Within the precious treasure pavilion, due to the different nature of the items being sold, they were all sold in different areas. Qian Linglong glanced at the precious treasure pavilion. She then walked towards the accessory section and started to choose the accessories. As Mo Qingyun scanned the place, he realized that the accessories for sale weren't just for looks. Some of the accessories were good Dharma treasures, and their grades were not low. Although they were not very useful to Mo Qingyun, they were extremely useful to ordinary people in the Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal realm. High-grade Monarch Artifact, Phoenix, Feather, Golden Hairpin. Description: when activated, it can summon a Phoenix Shadow to block an attack from a Nine Heavens' mysterious immortal realm expert. High-grade Monarch Artifact, Dragon Blood, Jade, Ancient Bracelet. Description: by consuming a drop of dragon blood, it can activate the demonic blood shark dragon's innate superpower, Raging Sea Swallowing Sky. Quasi-sacred artifact, Wand Phoenix, Jade Finger. Description: it contains the beast spirit of a sacred realm, Wand Phoenix. When summoned, it can unleash the combat power of a quasi-sacred realm expert. As Mo Qingyun looked around, the introductions of the accessories were reflected in his eyes. Looking at the introductions of the accessories, Mo Qingyun was shocked again. He did not expect them to have such a wonderful use. Is this all right? Qian Linglong chose the Wand Phoenix Jade Finger after a while and asked Mo Qingyun for his opinion. Hearing Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and said, "As long as you like it. As long as you like it, you could buy the entire precious treasure pavilion." Really? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Linglong's beautiful eyes moved and she winked playfully at Mo Qingyun. Of course. In response to Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun's expression did not change at all as he replied with a serious expression. Mo Qingyun indeed had such thoughts. If he bought the precious treasure pavilion, he would have other plans. This young man is so bold. He is actually willing to buy the entire precious treasure pavilion just to make his woman happy. He is obviously trying to make her happy. You guys actually took it seriously. This trick is too old. 800 years ago, it was already rare for me to use it. Even if what he said is false, the fact that he has such an attitude is something that you people can't compare to. That's right. Even if he can't buy it, he is much better than you guys for saying it. At least he has the courage to say it. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, the men and women in the precious treasure pavilion showed two different attitudes. While everyone was whispering to each other, an enchanting woman walked into the treasure pavilion, which was filled with birds and fragrant flowers. The lady entered the precious treasure pavilion and walked towards Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong. She said to the shopkeeper who was in charge of the counter, "Shopkeeper, I took a fancy to the Luan Phoenix jade finger last time. Pack it up for me immediately." Hearing the lady's words, the shopkeeper was shocked, and his gaze fell on Qian Linglong. Chapter 2109. Following the shopkeeper's gaze, the woman looked at Qian Linglong, and her gaze landed on the Luan Feng jade finger. The woman sized up Qian Linglong and revealed a look of disdain. She said in a commanding tone, "The Luan Feng jade finger is already mine. Quickly hand it over to me. If you accidentally break it, people like you won't be able to pay for it." After the woman finished speaking, she wanted to use a barbaric method to snatch the Luan Feng jade finger from Qian Linglong. With Qian Linglong's powerful cultivation, the item in her hand was naturally not something that could be snatched away by others. Seeing the woman raise her hand to grab her, Qian Linglong's figure flashed, and she nimbly dodged. Seeing that she had failed, the woman's face turned cold. She turned her head to look at the shopkeeper and said, "Shopkeeper, quickly order them a hand over the Luan Feng jade finger to me." Hearing the woman's words, the shopkeeper's face immediately turned bitter. He begged Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong, "Miss Qian Yulan has already bought the Luan Feng jade finger. Please hand it over to me and let me bandage it for her." Mo Qingyun's face immediately sank when he saw the manager's actions, and a strand of strong displeasure arose in his heart. He said, "Manager, don't forget that we took a liking to the Luan Phoenix jade finger first. Why should we sell it to her?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the shopkeeper was ashamed. He explained with a guilty conscience, "Young master, I'm really sorry. Actually, a few days ago, the Luan Feng jade finger in your hands was already reserved by Miss Qian Yulan." "Really?" Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a mocking smile. He asked in return, "Since she has already reserved the Luan Feng jade finger, why did you put it up for sale? Are you purposely toying with your customers?" Under Mo Qingyun's questioning, the shopkeeper was immediately at a loss for words. He didn't know how to answer. There was nothing he could do. The excuse he gave just now was indeed full of loopholes. Qian Yulan's pretty face turned black when she saw that the shopkeeper was speechless. Her gaze became even more disdainful as she said, "The two of you are beating around the bush and are unwilling to hand over the Luan Phoenix jade finger. Is it because you want to gain some benefits from me?" As soon as Qian Yulan finished speaking, she waved her hand and scattered over 10,000 immortal spirit stones. As expected of the eldest young miss of the Qianyu clan, she's so generous, directly throwing out tens of thousands of top-grade immortal spirit stones. In my opinion, when they see so many immortal spirit stones, they will definitely obediently hand over the Luan Phoenix jade finger. Not only is he willing to hand over the Luan Phoenix jade finger, I think that brat is even willing to hand over his own woman. Bah, you guys are just jealous of him. Only you guys would do that. No matter what, don't hand it over. Don't lower your head to those 10,000 immortal spirit stones. Looking at the scene in front of them, the men and women of the treasure pavilion still had different attitudes. Under everyone's gaze, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile as he waved his hand to the ground. Walala, one by one, the immortal spirit stones fell to the ground, making a series of crisp sounds. At a glance, the number of immortal spirit stones that Mo Qingyun threw out was at least 10 times that of Qian Yulan. After scattering the immortal spirit stones on the ground, Mo Qingyun looked at Qian Yulan with disgust and said, "You're quarreling with us now because you want the treasure pavilion to compensate you for your losses. I'll pay for them now. Take these immortal spirit stones and scram." "You!" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yulan's face immediately turned cold as killing intent emanated from her body. She said, Do you know who I am? How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know the consequences of doing this?" "I'm not sure what the consequences of doing this will be." Mo Qingyun didn't care about Qian Yulan's threat at all. He calmly shook his head and said, "But if the patriarch of your Qianyu branch doesn't stop what he's doing in private, it will bring disaster to him. Is this brat courting death? How dare he provoke the Qianyu family like that? His face is puffed up at its own cost. His actions now are simply digging his own grave. I don't think so. I just think that he's so domineering and bold. That's right. This is a real man, someone worth entrusting your life to. Everyone had different attitudes. At this moment, when everyone was talking, an old man walked out of the treasure pavilion. The old man walked out with an unhappy expression. He looked at the shopkeeper with dissatisfaction and said, "He Ping, it's so noisy here. What happened?" "Head shopkeeper, this is what happened." Under the old man's questioning, the shopkeeper panicked and immediately explained what happened. After hearing the shopkeeper's explanation, the old man frowned and his expression became more serious. He could feel that Mo Qingyun and Qian Yulan weren't people to be trifled with. Especially Mo Qingyun, the feeling he gave him was too calm, so calm that it made his heart palpitate. "Head shopkeeper, I have a big business deal for you. I wonder if you're interested?" Looking at the head shopkeeper before him, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and asked for his opinion. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the head shopkeeper frowned even more. He waved at Mo Qingyun and said, "Young master, please follow me. Let's go inside to discuss." Based on his experience in reading people, the head shopkeeper could tell that Mo Qingyun really had something to discuss. "Let's go in." Hearing the head shopkeeper's words, Mo Qingyun nodded at Qian Linglong and followed the head shopkeeper inside. Seeing that Mo Qingyun and Qian Yulan were about to leave, Qian Yulan was unhappy and was about to stand up to stop Mo Qingyun and Qian Yulan. Noticing Qian Yulan's action, the head shopkeeper's face darkened. He looked at Qian Yulan unhappily and said, "Miss Qian Yulan, we won't be selling the Luan Feng Jade Finger for now. You can go and choose something else." Seeing the head shopkeeper's action, Qian Yulan was enraged. She felt as though she had been slapped in the face. As long as the people present weren't idiots, they could tell clearly. In the competition between her and Qian Linglong, she was completely defeated by Qian Linglong. "Young master, please." Ignoring the furious Qian Yulan, the head shopkeeper made a gesture of invitation and led Mo Qingyun and Qian Yulan forward. Damn, this guy has such a strong background. How can the head shopkeeper treat him like this? He's boasting so much. I like to see how he's going to deal with this. That's right. Once the head shopkeeper sees through him, he can only wait for death. You guys are just jealous. Even if he's boasting, do you guys have the guts to do so? That's right. At least in the competition just now, he definitely had the upper hand. The men and women in the precious treasure pavilion still had different opinions. Just as everyone was whispering, Qian Yulan's face darkened, and she said angrily, I like to see what tricks you guys can play." After Qian Yulan said that, she found a seat in the hall of the precious treasure pavilion and sat down. Chapter 21:10. After a while, under the lead of the manager, the three of them entered a secret room. "Please sit." After leading Mo Qingyun into the secret room, the manager gestured for them to enter. "Young master, you just said that you have a big deal for me. I wonder what this big deal is." "Manager, the deal I mentioned just now, I'm afraid you can't make the decision." Mo Qingyun smiled meaningfully when he heard the chief manager's question. He said, "If it's convenient, you can call your pavilion master over and have him talk to me personally." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the manager was a little unhappy. "Young master, there aren't many things I can't make the decision for in the treasure pavilion. You could just tell me directly." At this moment, the manager couldn't help but wonder if Mo Qingyun was playing with him. It didn't matter if Mo Qingyun played with him, but if he played with the leader, then the nature of the situation would be different. This would cause the pavilion master to have doubts about his ability. "The deal I told you about just now is to buy the precious treasure pavilion." Since the manager said this, Mo Qingyun no longer hid his intentions and directly stated his intentions. Hearing this, the manager's expression changed. He widened his eyes and stared at Mo Qingyun. He really didn't think that the deal Mo Qingyun wanted to make with him was to buy the treasure pavilion. A few years ago, the treasure pavilion was indeed about to change hands. However, No one was willing to take it, so it was left unsettled. He didn't think that after a few years, someone would take the initiative to buy it. He really had to report this to the leader. More importantly, buying the treasure pavilion wasn't something he could make the decision for. However, even though he knew he couldn't make the decision, the manager didn't rashly ask the leader for help. After all, buying the treasure pavilion required a large amount of spiritual stones. He didn't know if Mo Qingyun had the financial resources to do so. After a short moment of shock, the manager said solemnly, "Young master, buying the treasure pavilion isn't something you can joke about. If I ask the leader for help, but you don't have the financial resources..." Mo Qingyun knew what the chief steward was thinking before he even finished speaking. He waved his hand in front of him. Clatter, medicinal crystals filled with spiritual energy fell in front of the chief steward, making a crisp sound. Seeing these medicinal crystals in front of him, the chief manager was instantly dumbfounded, and his jaw almost dropped to the ground. Medicinal crystals. Close to 1 million medicinal crystals. He couldn't calculate how much wealth this was, but it was definitely enough to buy the treasure pavilion. Mo Qingyun waved his hand again when he saw the shocked chief manager. He collected all the medicinal crystals and smiled. "Chief manager, do you still think that I am joking with you now? I was rash. I apologize to young master." Under Mo Qingyun's questioning, the manager looked embarrassed. He cupped his hands at Mo Qingyun and said, "Please wait for a moment. I'll ask the leader for help." Seeing Mo Qingyun's financial resources, the manager didn't dare to delay any longer and left the secret chamber. After the manager left the secret chamber, Qian Linglong opened her beautiful eyes wide. She looked at Mo Qingyun in shock and said, "Qingyun, are you really going to buy the treasure pavilion?" When Qian Linglong said this, she was touched, and her heart was filled with joy. She had originally thought that Mo Qingyun was just joking when he said those words. She didn't expect that Mo Qingyun would really do it. It showed how much Mo Qingyun cared about her. That's right, Mo Qingyun didn't hide anything from Qian Linglong. He nodded and said, "It will be a long process to reclaim the 1,000 illusions. Therefore, we need a stronghold. I think the treasure pavilion is very suitable for our stronghold." Okay. After hearing Mo Qingyun's idea, Qian Linglong immediately nodded. She understood Mo Qingyun's idea. After a while, the manager brought an old man. It was the leader of the treasure pavilion, Zheng Ping. "Young master, this is our leader. Let him talk to you personally." The manager came to the secret chamber and introduced Zheng Ping. Then, he introduced Mo Qingyun to Zheng Ping and said, "Leader, this is the young master who wants to buy the treasure pavilion." "Leader, young master, please have a seat." Mo Qingyun and Zheng Ping greeted Zheng Ping and sat down in the secret chamber to discuss the matter of buying the treasure pavilion. Zheng Ping looked at Mo Qingyun and nodded approvingly. He felt that Mo Qingyun had a good temperament. Zheng Ping said in a deep voice, "Young master, to tell you the truth, I did have the idea of selling the treasure pavilion a few years ago. However, no one has been interested in it for the past few years, so I gave up on the idea. Do you really want to buy it?" After hearing Zheng Ping's words, Mo Qingyun finally understood why the manager had passed the message on his behalf. It turned out that Zheng Ping already had the idea of selling the treasure pavilion. This way, it would be much easier to buy it. If Zheng Ping wasn't willing to sell it, he would have to resort to other means to get the treasure pavilion. "Of course I really want to buy it. Leader, please state the price for the treasure pavilion." After hearing Zheng Ping's words, Mo Qingyun nodded affirmatively, indicating for him to state the price. However, to Mo Qingyun's surprise, Zheng Ping furrowed his brows when he heard his words. Zheng Ping was silent for a moment before he broke the silence and said awkwardly, "Young master, if you had come to me a few years ago, I would have agreed without hesitation. However, the current situation is making things difficult for me." "Oh." Seeing Zheng Ping's abnormal behavior, Mo Qingyun frowned and revealed a puzzled expression. He asked, "Pavilion master, if there's something you can't say, feel free to tell me. A few years ago, My family wasn't in Thousand Language City. Therefore, I wanted to sell the treasure pavilion to my family. Zheng Ping roughly explained the reason why he transferred the precious treasures pavilion. His expression became heavier as he said, "It's just that not long ago, my clan was attacked by enemies. Now, we've already moved to Thousand Language City. The only property left in my clan is the precious treasures pavilion." After hearing Zheng Ping's words, Mo Qingyun nodded his head in understanding. He could understand Zheng Ping's feelings. If Zheng Ping sold the treasure pavilion, his family would be left with no property and would lose the family's funds. After explaining his difficulties, Zheng Ping muttered to himself for a moment before he said, "Young master, if you don't mind, I can transfer a portion of the treasure pavilion's property to you." "That won't do." With regards to Zheng Ping's proposal, Mo Qingyun rejected it without hesitation. He suggested, "Leader, if you don't mind, after I buy the treasure pavilion, you can continue to stay in the treasure pavilion and help me take care of the treasure pavilion. I will give you some compensation." After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zheng Ping immediately fell silent. He was clearly tempted. Chapter 2111. All right, I'll accept your suggestion. Zheng Ping thought about it for a while and accepted Mo Qingyun's suggestion. He decided to sell the precious treasure pavilion. The current situation in Thousand Language City was complicated. The precious treasure pavilion was in a precarious situation. It could be said that they were trying to survive in the cracks. If they were not careful, they might be nibbled away in the confrontation between the various forces until not even dregs were left. In order to avoid such a situation, it was wise to sell the precious treasure pavilion now. "Name your price." Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction when Zheng Ping agreed to sell the precious treasure pavilion. He then asked Zheng Ping to name his price. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Zheng Ping began to calculate in his heart what kind of price would be the most appropriate. Zheng Ping thought about it for a while and came up with a suitable price. He said, "According to the previous statistics, the value of the precious treasure pavilion's magic treasures is about 30 billion supreme-grade celestial spiritual stones, which is equivalent to 300,000 low-grade medicinal crystals. As for the land and houses in the precious treasure pavilion, they're not worth much, so I won't take them into consideration." All right, Mo Qingyun could accept Zheng Ping's price. It was a reasonable amount. Mo Qingyun then took out a storage bracelet and threw it into Zheng Ping's hand. He said, "There are 1 million low-grade medicinal crystals in here. Take the portion that you can use to buy the precious treasure pavilion. Use the remaining medicinal crystals to maintain the operation of the precious treasure pavilion." Zheng Ping was shocked when he saw Mo Qingyun's actions. He was shocked by Mo Qingyun's actions. He threw away 1 million medicinal crystals just like that. It was too domineering. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he waved his hand and summoned Huang Feng. He instructed, "Huang Feng, you will stay here and assist Zheng Ping in managing the precious treasure pavilion. If there are any problems, report to me at any time." Mo Qingyun asked Huang Feng to stay for 2 reasons. Firstly, it was to increase the fighting power of the precious treasure pavilion. Secondly, it was to monitor Zheng Ping's actions. After all, Zheng Ping had not been subdued by him. It was better to keep an eye on him. "Yes, master." After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Huang Feng immediately responded and displayed a respectful attitude. Zheng Ping and the chief steward were shocked when they saw Huang Feng's actions. The way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed drastically. Previously, when Mo Qingyun said that he wanted to buy Zhanbao Pavilion, they had already guessed that Mo Qingyun's identity must be extraordinary. However, Mo Qingyun's current performance made them realize that they had underestimated Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Zheng Ping's shock and started explaining to them how to operate the treasure pavilion in the future. "All right, you guys can go do your own things." After explaining everything, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. He got up and walked out of the secret chamber. Seeing Mo Qingyun walk out of the secret chamber, the chief steward hurriedly followed and escorted Mo Qingyun and Zheng Ping out. After leaving the secret chamber, the chief steward said, "Mr. Mo, I'll take out the other accessories later and let this lady take her time choose." All right. Mo Qingyun didn't reject the chief steward's suggestion and nodded in agreement. After Mo Qingyun and the other two left the secret chamber, Huang Feng and Zheng Ping discussed how to manage Yunbao Pavilion in the future. While conversing with old Huang Feng, Zheng Ping revealed a curious expression and asked, "Fellow Taoist Huang Feng, can you reveal the true identity of young Master Mo to me?" Mr. Zheng Ping, Master's identity is honorable. It's best if you don't ask too much. Huang Feng directly rejected Zheng Ping's request and said, "It's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that with your identity, it's not a good thing to know Master's identity." In Huang Feng's opinion, if Zheng Ping knew that Mo Qingyun had a grudge against the dark demons, he would run away and run away. With Zheng Ping's cultivation and status, he would probably run away in fright. Even if he didn't run away in fright, he would still be traumatized when doing things in the future. After all, the dark demons were too powerful. To someone like Zheng Ping, they were as powerful as gods. I understand. Zheng Ping's expression changed immediately after hearing Huang Feng's words. He didn't ask any more questions. He could tell that Huang Feng wasn't lying. It wasn't good to know too much. While Huang Feng and Zheng Ping were talking, Mo Qingyun and the other two returned to the main hall and returned to the accessories area. "Oof. The two of you are finally out." Qian Yulan's face darkened when she saw Mo Qingyun and the other two. She said to a man beside her, "Brother Hao, that's the guy and the bitch. They took the Luan Phoenix Jade Finger from me." Hearing Qian Yulan's words, Qian Yuhao looked at Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong. His eyes landed on Qian Linglong, and he said in amazement, "What a beautiful lady. Her aura is pure and otherworldly. This brat is so lucky." "Brother Hao, you're here again." Qian Yulan was displeased when she saw Qian Yulan's reaction. She glared at him. Qian Yulan didn't care about Qian Yulan's scolding at all. He stood up with a faint smile and said, "All right, I'll go with you. It's my first time seeing someone who dares to go against Qianyu Mansion in Qianyu City." Soon, Qian Yulan and Qian Yulan walked side by side and arrived in front of Mo Qingyun. Blocking Mo Qingyun's path, Qian Yuhao revealed a disdainful expression as he said, "Kid, I heard that you insulted my Qian Mansion. I'll give you a chance to apologize now. Allow this young lady to make a trip to your Qian Mansion." Anyone with a discerning eye could hear the hidden meaning in Qian Yulan's words. Qian Yulan is here too. That young man is doomed. Qian Yulan is the third genius of Qianyu Mansion. Although he's only at the 8th level of the 9 Heavens Qian Immortal Realm, he can fight with a Saint Realm expert. The owner of Precious Treasure Pavilion, Zheng Ping, is only an ordinary Saint Realm expert. I'm afraid he won't be able to stop Qian Yulan. Looking at the manager's reaction, he seems to respect Mr. Mo a lot. I wonder how their discussion went. Even if he didn't buy it, Mr. Mo's ability has convinced the manager. Then there's a good show to watch. I wonder who's stronger, Mr. Mo or Qian Yulan. Looking at the situation in front of them, the surrounding people whispered. All of them were looking forward to it. Under everyone's expectant gaze, Mo Qingyun glanced at Qian Yulan and Qian Yulan indifferently and said, "Manager, the Precious Treasure Pavilion doesn't welcome people from Qianyu Mansion. Chase them out now." "Yes." Hearing Mo Qingyun's order, the manager immediately nodded and made an inviting gesture to Qian Yulan. He said, "Mr. Qian Yulan, Miss Qian Yulan, our new owner doesn't welcome you. Please leave." Hearing the manager's words, the surrounding people immediately quieted down. Everyone's eyes widened. They couldn't believe what they heard. Chapter 21:12. Did I hear wrongly? Did he really buy the Precious Treasure Pavilion? It seems like it's true. Looks like we've underestimated him. This guy is not simple. Who asked you to continue looking down on people? Now you've all misjudged him. Qian Yuhao has been arrogant for too long. It's time for someone to teach him a lesson. Hearing the conversation between Mo Qingyun and the rest, the surrounding people were shocked and looked at Mo Qingyun in a new light. Just when everyone was shocked, Mo Qingyun glanced at Qian Yu Hao and said, "Great manager, I said to chase them out, not to invite them out." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone was shocked again, and they didn't know how to express their feelings. Mo Qingyun was too overbearing and domineering. In Thousand Language City, there was probably only Mo Qingyun alone who dared to treat the Thousand Language manner like this. "Chase the two of us out?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yu Hao's face turned cold immediately. He glared at Mo Qingyun and said, "Kid, do you know who the two of us are? Do you know the consequences of talking to us like that? I only know that I call the shots in my territory. I can chase whoever I want out." Facing Qian Yu Hao's questioning, Mo Qingyun's attitude didn't change. He still had a tough attitude. After Mo Qingyun finished his words, he didn't waste any more words with Qian Yu Hao and wave his hand at him. Then, a terrifying wave of immortal spiritual energy exploded from Mo Qingyun's palm. So powerful. Sensing the aura from Mo Qingyun's palm, everyone was shocked and their eyes widened. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Qian Yu Hao was blasted out of the precious treasure pavilion like a kite with a broken string. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qian Yu was enraged. She glared at Mo Qingyun with wide eyes. However, before she could say anything, Mo Qingyun waved his hand at her and sent her flying. Mr. Mo's strength is unfathomable. Yes, Qian Yu Hao, whose strength is comparable to a Saint Stage expert, actually didn't have the strength to fight back in front of him. From the looks of it, Mr. Mo must have been hiding his cultivation level. His cultivation level might be at the middle stage of the Saint plane. With his intermediate Saint Stage cultivation, he can basically do whatever he wants in Thousand Language City. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, everyone guessed his cultivation level, and their impression of him changed again. While everyone was discussing, Qian Yu Hao got up from the ground. They glared at Mo Qingyun and said, "Boy, we're not done with you. Just you wait." After Qian Yu Hao finished speaking, he turned around and left. He didn't dare to cause trouble for Mo Qingyun. Presumably, he was very clearly aware that with his little bit of strength, it was utterly insufficient for Mo Qingyun to look at. "Qingyun, what should we do now?" Seeing Qian Yu Hao leave, Qian Linglong frowned and asked Mo Qingyun for his opinion. Hearing Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun looked calm. He smiled faintly at Qian Linglong and said, "Looks like our plan has to be brought forward. Let's go to the Thousand Language Mansion directly." Young master, you go to the Thousand Language Mansion?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's idea, the chief steward was so frightened that his body trembled. His expression immediately tensed up. In his opinion, even if Mo Qingyun was very strong, it was still too reckless to go to the Thousand Language Mansion directly to cause trouble. It's just the Thousand Language City. It's not a tiger's den. Why can't we go? Looking at the shocked chief steward, Mo Qingyun smiled casually. He didn't think that the Thousand Language Mansion was scary. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Linglong immediately smiled sweetly. She nodded at Mo Qingyun and said, "Since that's the case, let's not waste any more time. Let's go to the Thousand Language Mansion now. Chief Steward, I'll leave this place to you. The two of us will go to the Thousand Language Mansion." After instructing the chief steward, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong left and hurried to the Thousand Language Mansion. Looking at Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong, who were gradually walking away, the chief steward was immediately stunned. He didn't know what to do. The chief steward hesitated for a moment. He walked into the inner hall of the Precious Treasure Pavilion and reported Mo Qingyun's actions to Zheng Ping. What did Mr. Mo say just now? He's going to the Thousand Language Mansion directly? Isn't he sending himself to the door? Is he crazy? This should be called the boldness of the strong. He actually dares to provoke the Thousand Language Mansion after beating up Qian Linglong and Qian Linglong. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Why are you still standing here? Hurry up and go to the Thousand Language Mansion to watch a good show. The crowd whispered among themselves. They didn't hesitate anymore and left the Precious Treasure Pavilion. When the crowd was rushing to the Thousand Language Mansion, Qianling and Qianling had returned to the Thousand-Language Mansion. They came to the main hall of the Thousand-Language Mansion in a bad mood. Seeing Qianling and Qianling's appearance, the crowd in the main hall was puzzled. They were shocked by their miserable appearance. Logically speaking, in the Thousand-Language City, there were only a handful of people who dared to touch the Thousand-Language Mansion. Looking at Qianling and Qianling, the head of the Thousand-Language Mansion, Qian Yujiang, asked with a puzzled expression, "How, Honor, what happened to you? Could it be that the people from the Jinxing Palace, the Heavenly Mandate Tower, and the Bloody Corpse demonic sect attacked you too?" In Qian Yujiang's opinion, the only people who dared to touch the Thousand-Language Mansion in the Thousand-Language City were people from these three forces. No, Qian Yuhao shook his head and revealed a cold expression. He said, "The person who attacked us too is a brat who we have never seen before. This brat is very arrogant. He bought the precious treasure pavilion and directly chased us out." "The person who attacked you too bought the precious treasure pavilion?" Hearing Qian Yuhao's words, Qian Yujiang's expression was shocked. Obviously, he knew about the precious treasure pavilion. Qian Yuhao knew very well how valuable the precious treasure pavilion was. The person who could buy it was definitely not simple. "Everyone, what do you think?" After knowing some of Mo Qingyun's deeds, Qian Yujiang looked at the crowd and wanted to hear everyone's thoughts. Under Qian Yujiang's gaze, the crowd began to whisper to each other and discuss how to deal with Mo Qingyun. "This person is so bold. He actually hurt the people of the Thousand-Language Mansion. We must not let him off. That's right. He must be severely punished to serve as an example to others. I think we should not act rashly. That brat's origin may not be simple." "I think so too. He is definitely not an ordinary person to be able to buy the precious treasure pavilion so easily." After a round of discussion, the elders in the main hall formed two camps. Chapter 21:13. What? That brat hit the two of us and still dares to provoke us? After listening to the guard's report, Qian Yuhao opened his eyes wide and could not believe what he had heard. He had seen many arrogant people, but it was his first time seeing someone as arrogant as Mo Qingyun. Qian Yuhao's face darkened, and he said angrily, "Father, we can't forgive this brat. Such an arrogant person must be severely punished. He must be taught a lesson that will make him doubt his life." "That's right. If we don't punish this brat, how will Qinyu Mansion survive in the future? Everyone, this brat is so arrogant. Could he be the young lord of the sacred tribe of darkness? It can't be such a coincidence. We have seen the few young lord of the dark demon tribe. Wasn't there a rumor that the dark demon tribe has another holy son? Could it be that holy son?" Qian Yujiang and the rest tensed up when they guessed the possibility. Qinyu Mansion had submitted to the dark demon tribe. If Mo Qingyun was the dark demon tribe's holy son, he was someone they could not afford to offend. Most importantly, Mo Qingyun's actions could possibly be the dark demon tribe's holy son. "Let's go out and take a look." When Qian Yujiang and the rest thought of this, they could not wait and walked out of the main hall. Before they could walk out of the main hall, they saw two figures approaching. They were Mo Qingyun and Qianling. "Father, it's the two of them." Qian Yuhao's face darkened when he saw Mo Qingyun and Qianling. He immediately pointed at Mo Qingyun and Qianling. Qian Yujiang and the rest looked in the direction that Qian Yuhao was pointing at and saw Mo Qingyun and Qianling. Soon after, their hearts, which had been hanging in the air, also relaxed. They were sure that Mo Qingyun and Qianling were not the dark demon tribe's holy son. Since they were not the dark demon tribe's holy son, things would be easier. "The two of you, how dare you come to my Thousand-Language Manor to cause trouble?" Looking at the approaching Mo Qingyun duo, Qian Yujiang's face turned gloomy, and she angrily shouted in a displeased tone. Because they didn't know Mo Qingyun's background, they didn't dare to act rashly. They planned to wait and see first. "Are we brave enough?" Hearing Thousand Words Zhang's words, Mo Qingyun chuckled and mocked. "No matter how bold we are, we can't be compared to you. The dark demon race came to invade the 1,000 illusions, and you didn't fight against them. Instead, you secretly submitted to them. This is an act of betrayal. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yujiang and the others' expressions changed greatly, as if they had been bitten by a poisonous snake. It was obvious that Mo Qingyun had directly revealed the secret in their hearts. You? Who are you? Seeing that Mo Qingyun knew her secret, Qian Yujiang panicked and questioned Mo Qingyun. In response to Qian Yujiang's question, Mo Qingyun smiled casually and pointed at Qian Linglong. He said, "You shouldn't ask me who I am. You should take a look at who Linglong is." Her? Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Qian Yujiang and the others looked at Qian Linglong and finally looked at her seriously. It was fine if they didn't look at her, but when they did, they were scared out of their wits. Holy Lady, the lady in front of them, was the Holy Lady of the 1,000 Illusions. Holy Lady, you're not dead? After recognizing Qian Linglong, Qian Yujiang and the others were shocked and asked in a panic. Hearing Qian Yujiang's question, Qian Linglong's face turned cold. She said coldly, "Why? Do you really want me dead?" No. Qian Yujiang and the others hurriedly shook their heads. Their expressions became even more flustered, and they became even more guilty. Now that the patriarch of the 1,000 Illusions was dead, Qian Linglong was the only spiritual leader and the empress of the 1,000 Illusions. Qian Linglong had caught them in the act of submitting to the dark demon race. It was hard for them not to be afraid. She is the Holy Lady of the 1,000 Illusions. Just now, after knowing Qian Linglong's identity, Qian Yuhao panicked and his face turned pale. The agitation that he had felt just now was enough to kill him 1,000 times over. Mo Qingyun and Qian Yuhao didn't care about Qian Yuhao's feelings. They walked slowly to the main hall and sat down. When Qian Linglong and Qian Yuhao sat down, Qian Yujiang and the others also returned to the main hall. They stood in the middle of the main hall quietly. Holy Lady, listen to our explanation. We did not submit to the dark demon race. This is just a stalling tactic to preserve our strength. Looking at Qian Linglong, Qian Yujiang immediately explained so that Qian Linglong would change her opinion of them. After hearing Qian Yujiang's words, Qian Linglong's expression turned better. These guys were not hopeless. Tell me about the situation of the dark demon race in 1,000 Words City. Ignoring the explanations of Qian Yujiang and the others, Qian Linglong ordered Qian Yujiang and the others sternly. Hearing Qian Linglong's order, Qian Yujiang and the others didn't dare to hide anything. They said truthfully, "Holy Lady, the dark demon race in the 1,000 Words City is very powerful. They're led by a late sage realm expert. They are currently in the 1,000 Words Mansion, monitoring our every move." There's a late sage realm expert? After hearing Qian Yujiang's words, Mo Qingyun and Qian Yuhao's expression changed. They were surprised by the situation. After a short moment of shock, Qian Linglong looked at Qian Yujiang again and signaled him to continue. Under Qian Linglong's gaze, Qian Yujiang didn't dare to hide anything and reported the situation. There are a total of 20 Sage Realm experts. It won't be easy to take them all down. After knowing the strength of the dark demon race, Qian Linglong's expression became tense. She turned to Mo Qingyun and said, "Qingyun, what should we do now? Should we take them down directly?" "No, if we take them down directly, they will leak our information if we can't take them down." After hearing Qian Linglong's question, Mo Qingyun shook his head and rejected Qian Linglong's idea. He said, "Later, Shuelong, Wang Chong, and I will set up a Saint Array in the 1,000 Words Mansion. It won't be too late to take them down after we trap them in the 1,000 Words Mansion." That's a good idea. After knowing Mo Qingyun's idea, Qian Linglong immediately nodded in agreement. After discussing the way to deal with the dark demon race, Mo Qingyun looked at Qian Yujiang and the others and said, "Regarding your previous actions, we can't be sure that you are not going against us. Open up your sea of consciousness." "What? You want us to open up our sea of consciousness?" After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yuhao's face darkened. He shouted angrily, "Boy, don't go too far. Even if she is the saintess of the 1,000 illusions, she doesn't have the right to do so. After hearing Qian Yuhao's words, Emo Qingyun sneered and said coldly, "So what if I'm going too far? You can choose to refuse, but you will have to bear the consequences." Chapter 21:14. Qian Yujiang and the rest could tell that Emo Qingyun was not joking with them. If they did not agree, Emo Qingyun would really kill them. After all, the crime of betraying the 1,000 illusions was enough for them to die 1,000 times over. Qian Yuhao pondered for a moment before his expression turned cold. He turned to Qian Yujiang and said coldly, "Father, the Qianhuan clan has already fallen apart. Even if she's the saintess of the Qianhuan clan, there's nothing she can do to reverse the situation. Why don't we comply with fate and work for the Dark Devil clan?" Qian Yujiang and the rest became more hesitant when they heard what Qian Yuhao said. Qian Yuhao was right. Given the current situation of the 1,000 illusions, even Qian Linglong could not change it. However, as members of the 1,000 illusions, killing the Holy Lady of the 1,000 illusions was something they could not do. Qian Yuhao became anxious when he saw the hesitation on the faces of Qian Yujiang and the rest. He quickly said, "Father, there are only 2 of them. With our strength, we might be able to kill them if we join forces." Qian Yujiang and the rest became gloomy when they heard Qian Yuhao's words. Apparently, they were tempted by what Qian Yuhao had said. If they killed Qian Linglong, no one would say that they had betrayed the tribe and sided with the Dark Demon tribe. "It seems like you're not going to repent. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance." Emo Qingyun's face turned cold when he saw Qian Yuhao's action. He took the lead and threw out a blow at Qian Yuhao. A horrifying blow was thrown out from Emo Qingyun's hand, and it instantly reached Qian Yuhao's head. So powerful. Qian Yujiang and the rest were shocked when they saw the power of Emo Qingyun's blow. They widened their eyes. They did not expect Emo Qingyun to be so powerful. He could destroy the world with a wave of his hand. However, be careful. Seeing the power of Emo Qingyun's palm, Qian Yujiang panicked and hurriedly warned Qian Yuhao. While Qian Yujiang was speaking, he also ran towards Qian Yuhao, wanting to block Emo Qingyun's palm for him. Mad Lion Flame Shield. Coming to Thousand Words Hao's side, Thousand Words Hao immediately took out a shield, which gave off a terrifying aura. The Wild Lion's Raging Flame Shield was summoned. A dazzling golden light blossomed from its surface, transforming into a huge lion head shadow. Roar! The lion's shadow roared angrily and rushed up to meet the giant palm in the sky, colliding with it. The lion's head shadow and the massive palm collided, resulting in a massive explosion and a terrifying storm. Boom! After a loud noise, the terrifying energy storm engulfed Qian Yu, Hao, and Qian Yujiang as it swept in all directions. Seeing such a scene, the surrounding people's expressions changed, and they hurriedly retreated in all directions. In a short while, the conference hall of Thousand Words Mansion collapsed under the impact of the storm. When the conference hall collapsed, there was a huge pit on the ground, causing the scene to become a mess. At that moment, Qian Yu Hao and Qian Yujiang revealed themselves from the storm. At that moment, Qian Yu Hao was covered in wounds. His clothes were dyed red with blood, making it hard for people to look at him. Although Qian Yujiang looked better than Qian Yu Hao, she was also in a sorry state. "Family head, how are you?" Looking at Qian Yujiang's state, the elders of Thousand Words Mansion came to her side. When Qian Yujiang heard the words of concern from the people around her, her face tensed up. She said in a deep voice, "I'm afraid his strength is unparalleled. Even an ordinary later stage Sage Realm expert might not be a match for him. He is not someone we can contend with." Everyone was shocked, and they looked at Emo Qingyun in shock. They did not expect Qian Yujiang to have such a high evaluation. Qian Linglong, as the saintess of 1,000 illusions, do you want to see your people being bullied? Qian Yujiang turned to look at Qian Linglong and questioned her after she spoke to the people around her. Qian Linglong chose to ignore Qian Yujiang's question. She knew that Qian Yujiang was trying to sow discord. From a moment you all submitted to the dark demon race, you are no longer the people of 1,000 illusions. Qian Linglong's eyes were filled with coldness. She looked at Qian Yujiang and the others coldly and said, "From today onwards, the 1,000 illusions will no longer belong to the 1,000 illusions. Today, I will clean up the mess for the 1,000 illusions." After Qian Linglong finished speaking, she released a powerful aura, causing Qian Yujiang and the others to gasp for breath. Sage. Later stage, Sage Realm. The Saintess cultivation has reached the later stage, Sage Realm. When Qian Yujiang and the others sensed Qian Linglong's aura, their faces turned pale. Mo Qingyun's strength was already a headache for them. Moreover, with Qian Linglong, who was at the later stage Sage Realm, they had no chance of winning. At this moment, when Qian Yujiang and the others turned pale, a group of people flew out from Qianyu Mansion. When Qian Yujiang and the others saw this group of people flying out, they were elated and excited. Their reinforcements had arrived. "Commander Zigang, you are here. This is great." When Qian Yujiang saw the people from the Dark Demon race, he was excited and quickly greeted them. Commander Zigang nodded indifferently when he heard Qian Yujiang's greeting. He sneered and said, "Master Qian Yujiang, Qian Linglong killed your patriarch in order to control the 1,000 illusions. Today, you must put justice before family and eliminate this demonic woman." "Thank you, Commander Zigang, for helping us to see through the demonic woman's evil plan. Our patriarch will not die in vain." Qian Yujiang was delighted when she heard Zigang. She said confidently, "Qian Linglong, you schemed against the ancestor for your own selfish desires. You caused the ancestor's death and plunged my clan into chaos. Today, I will get rid of this evil for the Qianhuan clan." Shameless. Qian Linglong's face turned cold when she heard the shameless words of Qian Yujiang and the others. Her murderous intent towards them intensified. They are here so quickly. When Mo Qingyun saw the people from the Dark Demon race, his expression turned grave. He was surprised by this turn of events. He did not expect the Dark Demon race to be so vigilant and come so quickly. This made the situation a little bleak. "Since you are here, all of you can stay here." Mo Qingyun looked at Zigang and the others coldly. He turned to Qian Linglong and said, "Linglong, go and deal with the others. Leave this Commander Zigang to me." "Okay." When Qian Linglong heard Mo Qingyun's order, she immediately nodded and floated towards Qian Yujiang and the others. When Qian Linglong floated towards Qian Yujiang and the others, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately summoned King Devourer and the others. Suddenly, a powerful aura appeared around Mo Qingyun. Chapter 21:15. Sky-devouring beast, go and help Ling Long kill the people from the Dark Demon tribe and Thousand Language Mansion. After instructing the sky-devouring Mermaid Empress and the others, Mo Qingyun turned to look at Shuelong and Yin Peng and said, "Shuelong, Yin Peng, I will assist the two of you in changing the formation of the Thousand Language Mansion as soon as possible and trap all these people here." "Yes, master." After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, King Devourer and the others immediately responded and joined the battle. Looking at the people who joined the battle, Qian Yuhao and Qian Yulan were stunned. They could not believe it. The Saint Realm experts in front of them were Mo Qingyun's servants. Mo Qingyun's identity was too powerful. When the people joined the battle, Mo Qingyun did not stay idle. He immediately went up to Zigang. "Humph! A Nine Heavens Xian celestial brat wants to fight with me." Seeing that Mo Qingyun wanted to fight with him, Zigang's face was full of disdain and anger rose in his heart. He was a Mastery Saint Realm expert, but he was challenged by a Nine Heavens Xian celestial brat. This was a great humiliation to him. Heavenly Demon Star, Splitting Palm. Mo Qingyun arrived in front of Zigang in a few flashes and blasted a palm at him. The violent creation energy gathered in Mo Qingyun's palm and turned into a giant palm in the blink of an eye. When the giant black palm was formed, it carried a monstrous demonic power and pressed down on Zigang. the heavenly soul demon tribe's innate superpower. As he gazed at the enormous black palm that was swiftly approaching him, Zgang recognized the origin of this palm. And then his pupils constricted as he said with surprise, "There's only one person amongst those at the nine heavens' mysterious immortal realm who possesses such terrifying combat strength. You are Mo Qingyun from the heavenly soul demon tribe." After guessing Mo Qingyun's identity, Zgang's expression turned solemn, and he stopped looking down on Mo Qingyun. Regarding Mo Qingyun's deeds, it was already widely circulated in the Dark Devil race. Zgang was naturally also familiar with it. Even ZK, who was stronger than him, suffered a loss at the hands of Mo Qingyun, so he couldn't be careless in the slightest. Twin tigers leaped to the sky. Zgang steadied himself. He clenched his fists tightly and shook his arms. Two domineering and terrifying saint powers burst out from Zgang's shoulders, blooming with golden light. The two bursts of saint force burst out and turned into two silvery tiger silhouettes, charging towards the giant black palm in the air. Boom, boom. When the silver tiger shadow collided with the giant black palm, two loud bangs were immediately heard, creating a terrifying storm of saint power. Following that, the saint energy storm exploded in mid-air, blocking the light from the Thousand Words residence. Due to the huge commotion caused by Mo Qingyun's battle, it immediately attracted the attention of the people outside the manor, attracting all of them to the front of the Thousand Language Manor. "Look, there are sounds of battle coming from the Thousand Words residence. Mr. Mo is fighting with them. This battle is too terrifying. It's at least a battle between Mastery Saint stage experts. The Thousand Words residence has provoked a ruthless character this time. It's impossible for them to settle this peacefully. From now on, there will be another expert in the Thousand Words city." Seeing the battle in the Thousand Words residence, everyone was shocked and couldn't help but sigh. Mo Qingyun had no idea about the shock in the outside world. After he defeated Zgang, he began to assist Shuelong, and Shuelong, Mo Qingyun's hands moved quickly, forming saint runes one after another, and he inserted them into the Thousand Words residence's formation. Under the influence of Mo Qingyun's saint runes, the Thousand Words residence's protective formation was immediately changed. "One arrogant brat. You actually dare to be distracted while fighting with this old man." Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Zgang was immediately enraged and threw a punch at Mo Qingyun. Thousand Tiger, Saint Demonic Fist. Zgang threw a punch, and a demonic aura erupted from his body. It wasn't any weaker than Mo Qingyun's. An earth-shattering saint energy blasted out from Zgang's fist, turning into tiger shadows one after another. When these tiger shadows appeared, they attacked Mo Qingyun, blocking all of Mo Qingyun's escape routes. The 9-9 Heavenly Demon, God-slaying, sword formation. Facing Zgang's punch, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and waved, summoning 81 ancient swords. 81 ancient swords appeared and quickly formed a sword array. Sword shadows emerged and protected Mo Qingyun within it. Slash, 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 slash. When the sword shadows were formed, they attacked the approaching tiger shadows in a frenzy. Under the constant attack of the sword shadows, the tiger shadows collapsed one after another, turning into balls of pure, celestial spiritual energy. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Zgang was immediately shocked. He recognized the origin of Mo Qingyun's move and exclaimed, "The 9-9 Heavenly Demon Sword Formation is a celestial technique mastered by the Sword Devil War Martyrs." How do you know the Sword Devil War Martyrs' celestial technique? Why should I tell you? Mo Qingyun smiled disdainfully at Zgang's question and quickly formed another saint rune. After forming the saint rune, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and pointed, sending the saint rune into the Thousand Words residence's formation. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zgang's face turned even uglier. He felt a strong sense of humiliation. When Mo Qingyun was fighting with him, he had diverted his attention to modify the thousand words residence's formation again and again. What infuriated Zgang even more was that while Mo Qingyun was modifying the thousand words residence's formation, he was still attacking others. Heavenly Sun, star-piercing eyes. A terrifying flame energy rapidly condensed in Mo Qingyun's right eye. Then, the flame energy turned into a ray and blasted out of Mo Qingyun's right eye. When the ray of eye power shot out, it injured a dark demon powerhouse and stopped him from attacking Xuelong. And Xuelong, kid, you've gone too far. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Zgang was immediately enraged. He almost lost all reason. Mo Qingyun hadn't even used half of his strength in the fight with him. He was looking down on him too much. No matter what, he was still a late Sage Realm powerhouse, one of the super powerhouses on the Wasteland continent. Lord Zgang, they're too strong. We can't hold on much longer. Just as Zgang was raging, a powerhouse from the Dark Demon clan said anxiously. When Zgang heard this, he glanced at the battle and his face instantly darkened. Qian Linglong and King Devourer were both late Sage Realm powerhouses. Under the suppression of the two of them, Zgang was unable to resist at all. Although Yu Hai and the others were only at the intermediate Sage Realm, their combat strength was extraordinary. They could easily crush Qian Linglong and the others. In general, although Mo Qingyun's side didn't have many people, each of them had outstanding combat strength and could fight against a group of people alone. Retreat. When Zgang realized that the situation was unfavorable to them, he was furious and unwilling. However, he still gave the order to retreat. He knew that if they continued to fight, they might be completely annihilated. After giving the order to retreat, Zgang wanted to leave with his men and fly out of the Thousand Words residence. However, Zgang didn't expect to be stopped by a formation light screen when he was about to leave the Thousand Words residence. When Zgang and the others saw this, their hearts skipped a beat as they thought of a possibility. Chapter 21:16. Oh no, the Thousand Language Mansion's mansion protective grand formation is under their control. Our escape route has been sealed. Looking at the light screen before him, Zgang's pupils constricted as a strong sense of uneasiness rose in his heart. If they did not break the mansion protective grand formation, they would not be able to leave the Thousand Autumn Mansion. They might even be completely annihilated. After a brief moment of panic, Zgang calmed down. He hurriedly ordered his subordinates. The Thousand Language Mansion's mansion protective grand formation is not strong. If we join forces, we should be able to break it. Hearing Zgang's order, the Dark Devil clan did not dare to hesitate. They immediately attacked the Thousand Language Mansion's mansion protective grand formation. As soon as Xuelong saw the actions of Zgang and the others, he guessed what they were thinking. He stood by Mo Qingyun's side and said with a smile, Yin Peng and I have already reinforced the protective formation of the Thousand Autumn's Mansion. They won't be able to breach it in a short period of time. You've done well this time. Hearing Xuelong's words, Mo Qingyun praised him. He said, continue to strengthen the formation. Also, control the formation to attack the Dark Devil clan and the Thousand Language Mansion's people. Yes. After receiving Mo Qingyun's orders, Xuelong and Yin Peng no longer hesitated and went to modify the formation. After instructing Xuelong and Yin Peng, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed as he charged toward Zgang again. Ghostly shadow slash. Mo Qingyun's figure flashed, and 9 afterimages appeared. They attacked Zgang from different directions. Seeing Mo Qingyun attack again, Zgang's expression immediately shook, and his expression became tense. Mo Qingyun's current attack gave him a palpitating feeling. It made him feel as if death was approaching. Demonic Tiger Sky, shaking roar. Zgang did not dare to be careless. He hurriedly used his strongest divine ability to block Mo Qingyun's attack. Zgang stepped forward with his right foot. The demonic aura on his body surged. Saint energy poured out and turned into a huge tiger head. Roar. After the tiger head formed, it tore at the air like a fierce tiger, pouncing on its prey. As the tiger head tore at the air, A domineering black energy barrier formed around Zigang's body. Boom, boom, boom. Tenmo Qingyun's approached and slashed at the black chi barrier, causing a series of loud sounds to ring out. Following the loud noise, cracks began to appear on the surface of the black chi shield, and it slowly began to shatter. Patter! A crisp sound rang out as the black chi barrier shattered. Just as the black chi shield was shattered, the saber radiance in the hands of Tenmo Qingyun slammed into Zigang. Chi chi chi! The saber light slammed into Zigang's body, emitting a sharp tearing sound, leaving wounds on his body. Suffering Mo Qingyun's attack, Zigang's complexion immediately turned purple. His body half kneeling down, he gritted his teeth and said, "What divine ability did you execute?" He actually managed to break through the demonic tiger sky, shaking roar. "Sorry, I'm not sure either." In response to Zigang's question, Mo Qingyun shrugged his shoulders and said coldly, "What are your last words? Say them all." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Zigang's complexion turned pale. He revealed an unwilling expression and said, "I, Zigang, who has dominated the wild continent for thousands of years, never thought that I would be defeated by a junior. What a joke. Boy, if you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a painful price." As soon as Zigang finished speaking, his complexion turned cold, and he immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. When Zigang attacked Mo Qingyun, the aura emitted from his body suddenly soared several times. Saint Source Ignition. Seeing Zigang's performance, Mo Qingyun's eyelids twitched. He knew why Zigang's strength had soared. Seeing that Zigang's aura had soared, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned serious. He did not dare to be careless. The combat strength that Zigang had displayed was close to the great perfection Saint Realm. He had not come into contact with an expert of this level, so he had to be careful. Tiger devouring abyssal claw. When Zigang attacked Mo Qingyun, his eyes glowed with black light. He looked like a real demon. Zigang flipped his hands and turned them into claws. He frantically clawed at Mo Qingyun. Every time Zigang waved his hands, a tiger claw shadow would blast out and claw at Mo Qingyun. 9x9 demon god, slaughtering sword formation. In the face of Zigang's attack, Mo Qingyun's hands formed a seal and immediately activated the 81 ancient swords to block it. Soon, the 81 ancient swords formed a sword formation to block the incoming tiger claw. Clang, clang, clang. The tiger claw shadow bombarded the ancient swords, creating a series of crisp sounds. As these sounds rang out, the surrounding space actually started to slowly collapse. In a short moment, the space around Mo Qingyun turned into a black abyss. In the black abyss, there were countless skeletons moving their broken bodies towards Mo Qingyun. What a powerful superpower! Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun was shocked. His expression became even more serious. He was sure that once the skeletons got close, he would be besieged and killed. When Mo Qingyun thought of this, his figure flashed, and he quickly dodged in all directions. However, what shocked Mo Qingyun was that the abyss expanded as he dodged. At this rate, it would not take long for the abyss to cover the entire thousand-language mansion. Once the thousand-language mansion was covered by the abyss, Qin Linglong and the others would be in danger. They had to stop it as soon as possible. Seeing Mo Qingyun retreat, Zigang sneered and said, "Mo Qingyun, if you want to break my superpower, unless Saint Qingyun appears, you'd better wait for your death." "Humph, I don't think so." Hearing Zigang's words, Mo Qingyun snorted and shook his head. He said, "Although your superpower is powerful, as long as I kill you, it will collapse on its own." "That's true." Zigang did not refute Mo Qingyun's words. He said proudly, "I admit that your strength has shocked me. However, do you have the ability to kill me? You'll know if you try." After bantering with Zigang for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. A scarlet flame flashed in his left eye. Emperor Seal, spiritual eye of civilization. A flame-like soul imprint blasted out from Mo Qingyun's left eye. It turned into a stream of light and disappeared in a flash. In the blink of an eye, the flame-like soul imprint blasted into Zigang's mind. After being attacked by Mo Qingyun's soul attack, Zigang immediately screamed in agony. As Zigang's soul imprint was severely injured, the superpower that he had unleashed also weakened. Then, the tiger's shadow in the air began to dissipate bit by bit. The abyss also slowly healed. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun grinned and said, "It seems that your superpower has been broken by me. I don't need Saint Xingyun to kill you." Chapter 21:17. Holy Demon Star Shattering Fist. Mo Qingyun's body flashed like a meteor and dazzling light shone from his body. The violent aura of the power of creation quickly gathered outside Mo Qingyun's body and turned into a giant phantom of a demon god. Once the demon god's phantom was formed, it waved its huge fist and smashed down towards Zigang. Zigang's soul was injured and his mind was not clear. He did not notice Mo Qingyun's attack. Then, the crowd saw the demon shadow's huge fist hitting Zigang's chest. Boom! There was a loud sound. Behind the loud sound, the crowd saw Zigang's body flying backward like a meteor. As Zigang's body flew backward, cracks began to appear on his body. It looked like he was going to explode. Bang! Under everyone's shocked gazes, a loud sound came from Zigang's body, and his body directly exploded. Then, Zigang's body turned into ashes, and there was nothing left. Seeing Zigang's body explode, Qian Yujiang and the rest were stunned, and their faces turned pale. Commander, Zigang is dead. How can Mo Qingyun be so powerful? Isn't he just a nine heavens Xian immortal? How did he manage to kill even Commander Zigang? We were wrong. It looks like Linglong's Saintess came back to reorganize the 1,000 illusions. With Mo Qingyun as her helper, Linglong is qualified to fight against the Dark Demon tribe. Seeing that Zigang was killed by Mo Qingyun, Qian Yujiang and the others were filled with regret. Despair rose in their hearts. If nothing went wrong, they would not be able to escape today. Stop! Qian Yujiang didn't continue to resist after knowing the fate of his people. He shouted at Qian Linglong, "Saintess, I know I was wrong. I don't beg you to spare my life. I only beg you to spare my people after you kill me." When Qian Yujiang said this, he glanced at Qian Yuhao and the others. Hearing Qian Yujiang's words, Qian Linglong turned to Mo Qingyun as if she was asking for Mo Qingyun's opinion. Seeing that Qian Linglong was looking at him, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, "They are all your clansmen. It is not convenient for me to interfere. You decide for yourself." "Yes." Upon hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Linglong immediately nodded and turned to look at Qian Yujiang and the others. While Qian Linglong was dealing with Qian Yujiang and the others, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He looked at the Dark Devil clan and said, "Since I came out from the ancestral tomb of the Magus clan, I secretly swore that I would destroy the Dark Devil clan with my own hands. Let's start with you. Attack." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and immediately gave the order to King Devourer and the others. Following that, Mo Qingyun joined forces with King Devourer and the others to slaughter the Dark Devil clan. In a short while, the rest of the Dark Devil clan was killed by Mo Qingyun. After killing the Dark Devil clan, Mo Qingyun sent King Devourer and the others to the Fortune mainland. While Mo Qingyun was dealing with everything, Qian Linglong had already dealt with Qian Yujiang and the others. Qian Yujiang committed suicide and the rest of his clansmen were branded with a soul mark. Mo Qingyun did not say anything about Qian Linglong's way of dealing with the Dark Devil clan. He could understand Qian Linglong's feelings. No matter what, the Qian Yujiang and the others were her clansmen. It was understandable that she could not kill them. "Qingyun, what should we do now?" After dealing with the Qian Yujiang and the others, Qian Linglong walked over to Mo Qingyun and asked for Mo Qingyun's opinion. After seeing Qian Linglong's performance, Qian Yuhao and the others looked at Mo Qingyun with even more reverence. From Qian Linglong's actions, their 1,000 illusions holy maiden seemed to regard Mo Qingyun as her backbone. It seemed like they had underestimated Mo Qingyun. He was not just Qian Linglong's helper. Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and thought of a reason. He said to Qian Linglong and the others, regarding the matter at hand, "You can explain it like this later. The Dark Devil clan attacked the Qian Yuzhong Manor and killed the Qian Yuzhong Manor's patriarch. You can trap the Dark Devil clan and kill them to avenge Patriarch Qian Yuzhong." When Qian Linglong heard Mo Qingyun's words, she was elated. She felt that Mo Qingyun's explanation was great. Immediately after, Qian Linglong ordered an elder of the Qian Yuzhong Manor to spread this explanation. After finding a perfect explanation for the matter at hand, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and said, "Now that Qian Yuzhong is dead, the Qian Yuzhong Manor cannot do without a patriarch. We should choose a patriarch as soon as possible to maintain the continuity and operation of the Qian Yuzhong Manor." When Qian Linglong heard Mo Qingyun's words, the elders of the Qian Yuzhong Manor also nodded in agreement. Immediately after, the elders of the Qian Yuzhong Manor started to prepare for the selection of a patriarch. At the same time, they started to recultivate the Qian Yuzhong Manor. After all, in the previous battle, half of the Qian Yuzhong Manor's buildings had been destroyed. They had to rebuild them. Let's leave first. After settling the matters in the Qian Yuzhong Manor, Mo Qingyun said to Qian Linglong and walked out of the Qian Yuzhong Manor. When Qian Linglong heard Mo Qingyun's words, she did not stay any longer and left with Mo Qingyun immediately. When Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong walked out of the Qian Yuzhong Manor, they immediately attracted the attention of the people around them. "Mr. Mo, there was a fierce battle in the Qian Yuzhong Manor just now. Were you the one who fought with them?" "Mr. Mo, I heard that Patriarch Jiang of the Qian Yuzhong Manor was killed. Were you the one who killed him? What are you talking about?" "Are you saying that Mr. Mo is with the Dark Demon Tribe?" "Mr. Mo, when the Dark Demon Tribe attacked the Qian Yuzhong Manor just now, did you help the Qian Yuzhong Manor?" At that moment, everyone was curious and asked Mo Qingyun one after another. When he heard the crowd's questions, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately turned serious. He said righteously, "Do you still need to ask? As cultivators, it's our duty to eliminate the strong and help the weak. Since the Dark Demon Tribe attacked us, how could I just stand by and watch?" When they heard Mo Qingyun's answer, everyone was stunned. They did not believe Mo Qingyun's words. Mo Qingyun did not care about the crowd's reaction. He smiled faintly and continued, "Although the Qian Yuzhong Manor offended me before, I'm not going to hold it against them. I'm not going to hold it against them." After Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he pushed the crowd aside and left with Qian Linglong. As they watched Mo Qingyun gradually walk away, everyone came back to their senses. However, they still felt that something was not right. Was Mo Qingyun that easy to talk to? That did not seem to be the case, right? Previously, when Qian Yuhao offended him, he immediately chased him away and even wanted to go to the Qian Yuzhong Manor to denounce him. How could he suddenly change his mind and not hold it against them just like that? There must be a secret behind this. Chapter 21:18. Thousand Language Zhang's death caused a huge commotion in Thousand Language City and attracted the attention of many forces. Due to the large number of people paying attention, Mo Qingyun's visit to Thousand Language Manor was also noticed by many people. With so many people paying attention, the conflict between Mo Qingyun and Thousand Language Manor was naturally brought up by some people to analyze. Gradually, the news that Mo Qingyun did not pursue the matter of Thousand Language Manor became a little ridiculous. Do you know why Mo Qingyun did not seek trouble with Thousand Language Manor after making a trip there? Didn't Mr. Mo say that he was a petty person? He's a great person who doesn't hold a grudge against us and doesn't bother with the Thousand Language Manor. You believe that? Let me tell you the real reason. It's because Mo Qingyun saw the strength of Thousand Language Manor and became terrified. You don't say. After listening to your analysis, it does seem to be the case. What a joke. Even the dark demon race was destroyed by thousand-language manner. How can Mo Qingyun not be afraid? In that case, Mo Qingyun is just a coward who only knows how to bully the kind and fear the evil. Slowly, the impression of Mo Qingyun in everyone's hearts became that of a coward. As the news spread further and further, it soon reached Mo Qingyun's ears. Mo Qingyun did not know whether to laugh or cry. Qingyun, do you need to inform Thousand Language Manor and ask them to clarify things for you? Sitting beside Mo Qingyun, Qian Linglong had an inquiring look on her face as she asked Mo Qingyun for his opinion. No need. Mo Qingyun waved his hand and rejected Qian Linglong's suggestion. He said with a smile, if the dark demon race knows about my true strength, they will be more vigilant and it will be more troublesome to deal with them. This is good. Qian Linglong nodded. She felt that Mo Qingyun was right. The matter of Thousand Language Manor, killing Z Gang, and the others will not be hidden for long. We need to prepare early. Mo Qingyun was very clear in his heart that the Thousand Language Manor had escaped the control of the Dark Devil race. They would soon send people over. Qian Linglong frowned when she heard Mo Qingyun's words. Her expression became grave as she said, the closest city to Thousand Language City is Thousand Moon City, which is under the control of the Thousand Moon branch. It is said that the Dark Devil clan in Thousand Moon City is even stronger. They are much harder to deal with than Z Gang and the others. It will take us a month to get here from Thousand Moon City. That's enough time for us to make preparations. After calculating the distance between the two cities, Mo Qingyun's expression relaxed a little. He said, in order to prevent any unforeseen events from happening, we need to take complete control of Thousand Language City before the Dark Demon race from Thousand Moon City arrives. Yes, Qian Linglong nodded. Right now, the forces in Thousand Language City were tangled up, and many forces weren't under the control of Thousand Language Manor. Their attitude was also very unclear. If they were also controlled by the Dark Devil race, they would work together with the Dark Devil race from Thousand Moon City. This would put Mo Qingyun in a very passive position. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If we want to have an advantage in the confrontation with the Dark Devil race, we need to have a large amount of information. Considering the factors of the confrontation between the two sides, Mo Qingyun mentioned a crucial point. He said, I have decided to let the Precious Treasure Pavilion set up branches and secretly collect information for us to prepare for our next destination. This is a good idea. Let's go to the Precious Treasure Pavilion now. After hearing Mo Qingyun's idea, Qian Linglong immediately nodded in agreement. She couldn't wait to go to the Precious Treasure Pavilion. Then, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong left the room and went to the Precious Treasure Pavilion. In a dark little house in the Blood Sword sect. This Mo Qingyun is really amazing. I haven't seen him for a short 10 years, and he has actually grown to this extent. After escaping from the Flower Language restaurant, Tang Sha had been in seclusion to heal his injuries. Only now did he stabilize his injuries. Thinking of Mo Qingyun's terrifying strength, Tang Sha's expression immediately became serious. He had a sense of dread. He said, Mo Qingyun and the girl from the 1,000 Illusions are both in the later stage of the Saint Realm. I am not their match. I need to find a strong helper. Chun Huangyi is not strong enough, and he wants to recruit Mo Qingyun. I can't count on him. Tang Sha thought to himself. He eliminated Chun Huangyi and chose another partner. As for the Jinxing Palace, Heavenly Mandate Pavilion, and Blood Corpse Demon Sect, I am not familiar with them. I can't count on them either. It seems that I can only go to them. Thinking of this, a cold smile appeared on Tang Sha's face. He got up and walked out of the house. Tang Sha left his little house and went to the conference hall of the Blood Sword sect. He wanted to find out what had happened recently. It seems that we have underestimated the Thousand Language residents. They actually killed the cultivators of the Dark Demon clan and escaped from their control. No matter what, the Thousand Language residents is one of the top 10 branches in the 1,000 Illusions. With the thousand-language residence's strong attitude, they have escaped from the control of the Dark Demon clan. They will probably integrate with us. This is for sure. We have to prepare in advance. When Tang Sha walked into the conference hall, he heard the conversations of the people in the conference hall. Hearing these people's conversation, Tang Sha's body shook. His expression became uncertain. He thought to himself, the cultivators of the Dark Demon clan of the Thousand-Language Residents were uprooted by the people of the Thousand-Language Residents. This is troublesome. Knowing the situation of the Thousand-Language Residents, Tang Sha's heart sank. Originally, he wanted to find the Dark Demon clan of the Thousand-Language Residents to work together to deal with Mo Qingyun. Now it seemed that this plan was going to be delayed. Mo Qingyun, I didn't expect your luck to be so good. However, I won't let this matter rest. Thinking that his plan had failed, Tang Sha's face turned cold, and he couldn't help but clench his fists. After calming himself down, Tang Sha walked into the conference hall and greeted Chen Huangyi and the rest. Guardian Tian, I heard that you're injured. Seeing Tang Sha enter the main hall, Chen Huangyi's face was filled with concern as he inquired about Tang Sha's condition. Hearing Chen Huangyi's question, Tang Sha nodded and said with an ashamed expression, a few days ago, I was carrying out a mission for the clan. I was ambushed by the enemy and suffered some injuries. I've caused the sect leader and everyone to worry. It's good that you're fine. Hearing Tang Sha's words, Chen Huangyi's expression relaxed, and he nodded at Tang Sha. Chen Huangyi didn't ask much about the mission Tang Sha was carrying out. This was Tang Sha's personal secret. Next, Chen Huangyi and the rest continued to discuss how to face the Thousand-Language Residents. At this moment, while everyone was talking, a young man and a young lady walked in. Father, we're back. The young man and young lady walked into the conference hall and greeted Chen Huangyi. They sat down in the conference hall. Seeing this young man and young lady, Tang Sha's face darkened and a cold look flashed in his eyes. The Dark Demon clan of the Thousand-Language Residents was uprooted, and they will definitely be indignant. If the Blood Sword sect were to work with them, looking at the young man and young lady in front of him, Tang Sha's lips curled into a cold smile as he formed a sinister plan. Chapter 2119. Inside the Treasure Pavilion, singing birds and fragrant flowers. Mr. Mo, Miss Ling Long, you're here. Seeing the arrival of Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun, the Grand Manager immediately bowed and greeted them respectfully. Mo Qingyun nodded indifferently at the Chief Steward's action. He walked directly into the Precious Treasure Pavilion and said, Chief Steward, take me to Zheng Ping and the others. I have something to discuss with them. Yes. The Chief Steward nodded and led the way for Mo Qingyun. Soon, Mo Qingyun saw Zheng Ping and Ling Long and sat down beside them. Zheng Ping, I came to you this time because I have something to tell you. Mo Qingyun sat down. He didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. I'm planning to go to other cities and open up some branches of the Precious Treasure Pavilion. Do you have any good suggestions? Open branches of the Precious Treasure Pavilion. Zheng Ping's eyes immediately widened. He was shocked by Mo Qingyun's plan. He hurriedly said, Mr. Mo, opening branches of the Precious Treasure Pavilion requires a lot of manpower and a lot of treasures. I'm afraid it can't be done in a short time. You don't have to worry about treasures. You can go and gather the manpower. Hearing Zheng Ping's misgivings, Mo Qingyun gave him a comforting smile and said, I have some things here that you can take to Zhen Bao Pavilion to sell. As for the manpower Zhen Bao Pavilion needs, you can use generous rewards to recruit them. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he took out 2 storage bracelets and threw them in front of Zheng Ping. More than 100,000 immortal artifacts and nearly 10,000 quasi-divine artifacts. Another 1,000,000 low-grade medicinal crystals. Hiss! Mr. Mo is so generous. What a terrifying amount of wealth. Opening the storage bracelet that Mo Qingyun threw to him, Zheng Ping's pupils immediately shrank, and he felt a chill in his heart. The wealth that Mo Qingyun displayed made his heart palpitate. It was too much. More importantly, these were all casually tossed out by Mo Qingyun. One could imagine how terrifying his true wealth was. Mr. Mo, don't worry. I'll do my best. After calming himself down, Zheng Ping carefully put away the storage bracelet and promised Mo Qingyun. After he assured Mo Qingyun, Zheng Ping's expression became serious. He said, Mr. Mo, there shouldn't be any problems with the initial funds for Zhen Bao Pavilion. But where should we set up Zhen Bao Pavilion? Zheng Ping was only working for Mo Qingyun, so he couldn't decide where to set up the precious treasure pavilion. Upon hearing Zheng Ping's question, Mo Qingyun turned to look at Qian Linglong. He wanted to know what she thought. With our current combat power, we can't care about places that are too far away, so we can only choose a city that's closer. Seeing Mo Qingyun looking at her, Qian Linglong explained her thoughts. She took out a map and said, I don't think it's meaningful to set up a branch in some small cities. The bigger cities near Thousand Language Mansion are only Thousand Moon City, Thousand Rainbow City, Thousand Star City, and Thousand Ink City. We can only choose from them. Okay. Hearing Qian Linglong's analysis, Mo Qingyun nodded in agreement. In small cities, the dark demon race didn't send many people. There was no need to pay attention to them. Only in large cities would one need to carefully gather information and investigate the forces and strength of the Dark Devil race. Thousand Star City and Thousand Ink City are too far away. We don't need to consider them for now. Mo Qingyun pointed at the map and analyzed their locations. He then pointed at Thousand Moon City and Thousand Rainbow City and said, the Dark Demon race in Thousand Moon City is too strong. It's too troublesome to set up a branch there. It won't be easy for us to control them. Let's choose Thousand Rainbow City first. Hearing Mo Qingyun's analysis, Zheng Ping and the rest nodded. The situation was indeed so. After choosing a place to set up a branch, Mo Qingyun and the rest discussed the details and considered some of the troubles they might encounter. Inside the Blood Sword sect, while Mo Qingyun and the rest were discussing, Chen Huangyi and the rest ended their conversation. Father, I'll go out with Big Brother. After chatting with Chen Huangyi, Chen Lin and Chen Yu smiled slyly and left the conference hall. Looking at Chen Lin and Chen Yu leaving the conference hall, Teng Sha smiled coldly and quietly followed behind them. After following them for an hour, when Chen Lin and Chen Yu entered a secluded street, Teng Sha's figure appeared. When Teng Sha appeared, he did not show any mercy and directly smashed a palm towards Chen Lin and Chen Yu. Who are you? Seeing Teng Sha's sudden attack, Chen Lin and Chen Yu were immediately shocked and spoke in panic. Because Teng Sha had disguised himself after leaving the Blood Sword sect, Chen Lin and Chen Yu did not recognize him. Chen Lin and Chen Yu were only at the second and third level of the Nine Heavens Xian Immortal Realm. Facing a Saint Stage expert like Teng Sha, they naturally did not have the slightest ability to resist. Very quickly, under Teng Sha's overbearing attack, Chen Lin and Chen Yu were killed. After killing Chen Lin and Chen Yu, Teng Sha's figure flashed and left with Chen Lin and Chen Yu's bodies. After a while, Teng Sha arrived at the Flower Lingo restaurant and entered Mo Qingyun's room. Mo Qingyun, you're still too inexperienced if you want to fight with me. After arriving at Mo Qingyun's room, Teng Sha left Chen Lin and Chen Yu's bodies and left silently. After Teng Sha returned to the Blood Sword sect, he had nothing to do and returned to his room to cultivate. The sky was dark. Why aren't Lin and you back yet? Seeing that the sky was already dark and Chen Lin and Chen Yu were still not back, Chen Huangyi was slightly anxious. The current Thousand Language City was not stable, and Chen Lin and Chen Yu had not returned for a long time. He could not help but be worried about the two. Just as Chen Huangyi was worrying, Teng Sha just happened to pass by and pretended to be puzzled as he went up and asked, Secmaster, what's wrong? What made you so anxious? So it's Guardian Tian. Have you seen Lin and you? Hearing Teng Sha's question, Chen Huangyi squeezed out a smile and hurriedly asked Teng Sha. Under Chen Huangyi's question, Teng Sha went silent for a while and acted as if he was pondering. In the afternoon, I seem to have seen them once. They seem to have gone to the East Gate's 100 Flower Street. East Gate's 100 Flower Street? Hearing Tang Sha's reply, Chen Huangyi's eyes immediately lit up as he exclaimed, Mr. Mo seems to be staying at 100 Flower Street. I'll go ask him now and see if he's seen Lin and you er. Chen Huangyi was now desperately trying to find a doctor. He did not even bother to think about whether Mo, Qingyun knew Chen Lin and Chen Yu. After Chen Huangyi's words, he no longer hesitated and immediately headed towards the Flower Lingo restaurant at the East Gate. After a while, Chen Huangyi arrived at the Flower Lingo restaurant and pushed open Mo Qingyun's door. When he saw Chen Lin and Chen Yu in the room, he was immediately stunned as he could not believe that this was real. Chen Lin and Chen Yu were dead. Furthermore, they died in Mo Qingyun's room. Chapter 2120. Lin are you? Seeing Chen Lin and Chen Yu's bodies, Chen Huangyi was overcome with grief, his eyes turning blood red. His two children, in one day, both died in Mo Qingyun's room. This kind of grief almost drove him crazy. Chen Huangyi's rationality, at this moment, was instantly replaced by hatred. Mo Qingyun, I now value you, but you actually kill my children. Chen Huangyi's face darkened, his expression turning malevolent as he shouted angrily, The grudge of killing my children is irreconcilable. Even if I, Chen Huangyi, die, I will not let you off. In his rage, in his loss of rationality, Chen Huangyi no longer thought about why Mo Qingyun would do such a thing. He instinctively thought that since Chen Lin and Chen Yu's bodies were here, it must have been Mo Qingyun's doing. Master, please remain calm. Seeing Chen Huangyi's reaction, Tang Sha's lips curled into a cold smile as he hurriedly said, I feel that there is something fishy about this matter. It is not as simple as it seems. We need to discuss this further. Hearing Tang Sha's words, Chen Huangyi's expression turned for the better, his rationality returning slightly. Seeing that Chen Huangyi had regained some rationality, Tang Sha did not stop and continued. I feel that the young lord and miss were not killed by Mo Qingyun. If they were really killed by Mo Qingyun, he would not have placed the bodies in the room. He would have destroyed the evidence. Hearing Tang Sha's analysis, Chen Huangyi's eyelids twitched as he continuously nodded his head. Tang Sha's words were not false. With Mo Qingyun's intelligence, he would definitely not do such a foolish thing. It seems like he had wronged Mo Qingyun. Immediately, Chen Huangyi's expression turned serious as he considered who the real murderer was. Just as Chen Huangyi was deep in thought, Tang Sha changed the topic and pointed the spearhead at Mo Qingyun, saying, Even though this matter was not done by Mo Qingyun with the young lord and miss bodies here, it is obvious that someone wanted to frame Mo Qingyun, hence, this matter must be related to Mo Qingyun. To find a murderer, we must start with him. Tang Sha and the rest nodded their heads again, feeling that Tang Sha's analysis was very logical and wanted to hear him continue. Seeing Chen Huangyi's reaction, Tang Sha felt even more pleased. He knew that his suspicions had been cleared. Since young master and young Mrs. Deaths are closely related to Mo Qingyun, Mo Qingyun is also an indirect murderer. Tang Sha beat around the bush and once again pushed the blame onto Mo Qingyun. Moreover, there was not the slightest flaw in his words, causing Mo Qingyun to be unable to defend himself. One had to admit, this move of his was indeed vicious. Even if Chen Huangyi calmed down, he could not deny that Mo Qingyun indirectly caused the deaths of the Chen Lin duo. Seeing that Chen Huangyi agreed with his point of view, Tang Sha did not try to persuade Chen Huangyi to take revenge, but his expression turned serious as he said, Sovereign, Mo Qingyun is extremely powerful. With just a few of us, it is impossible to deal with him. We need to find some helpers. After Tang Sha's analysis, Chen Huangyi completely believed Tang Sha in his heart and asked, Guardian Tian, in your opinion, what should we do next? For a gentleman to take revenge, 100 years is not too late. If we want to deal with Mo Qingyun, we cannot be hasty. We need to have absolute confidence. Seeing that Chen Huangyi completely believed in him, Teng Sha first calmed Chen Huangyi down, then pointed to the Chun-Lin duo's bodies and said, "Master, this is not the place to discuss this. To prevent Mo Qingyan duo from returning and discovering that we want to deal with them, let's leave this place for now. Bring the young master and young lady's bodies." Hearing Teng Sha's instructions, Chen Huangyi nodded his head and instructed the group. Following which, Chen Huangyi and the rest left and directly returned to the Bloodsword sect. Chen Huangyi and the rest returned to the Bloodsword sect and took care of Chen Lin and Chen Yu's bodies, then began to discuss. In the Bloodsword sect's meeting hall, Guardian Tian, quickly tell me how we should deal with Mo Qingyan. At the top of the Bloodsword sect's meeting hall, Chen Huangyi had an inquiring look on his face as he asked Teng Sha for his opinion. Under Chen Huangyi's inquiry, Teng Sha fell silent for a moment, then said, "Master, I believe that we should first hide the young master and young lady's deaths and find some powerful helpers during this period. When the time comes, we can then hold a funeral for the young master and young lady and kill Mo Qingyan in one fell swoop." Hearing Teng Sha's suggestion, Chen Huangyi's gaze turned cold as he involuntarily clenched his fists. Seeing his enemy right in front of him, yet having to keep it a secret, this feeling was truly unbearable. Although he was furious, Chen Huangyi knew that Teng Sha's suggestion was the best. "All right, we'll do as you say." Chen Huangyi fell silent for a moment before he agreed with Teng Sha's suggestion. "Guardian Tian, you have a wide range of friends, so I'll leave the matter of finding helpers to you." Due to the pain of his injuries, Chen Huangyi no longer had the mood to find helpers to deal with Mo Qingyan. "All right, I will definitely complete this task." Seeing that everything was going according to his plan, Teng Sha sneered inwardly. "Mo Qingyan, you're still too inexperienced if you want to fight with me." Based on the current situation, everything in the Bloodsword sect was already under his complete control. Later on, if he found some powerful helpers, he would have more confidence in dealing with Mo Qingyan. At that time, he might be able to take down Mo Qingyan if he was caught off guard. Teng Sha consoled Chen Huangyi before he left the Bloodsword sect. In the Floral Language restaurant, Mo Qingyan left the Precious Treasure Pavilion and returned to his residence with Qian Linglong. He knew nothing about the arrival of Chen Huangyi and the others, so he didn't know that Chen Huangyi had misunderstood him. When Mo Qingyan returned to his room, he separated from Qian Linglong and sat cross-legged on the bed. There shouldn't be any problems with the Precious Treasure Pavilion's branch. Mo Qingyan nodded his head in satisfaction when he thought about the Precious Treasure Pavilion's branch. After settling the matter of the Precious Treasure Pavilion's branch, Mo Qingyan began to think about how to deal with the other members of the Dark Demon tribe. "With my current strength, I can only fight against an ordinary late-stage, sage-stage powerhouse. It's not enough to fight against someone like Z Quebec. I need to continue increasing my strength." After the battle with Z Gang, Mo Qingyan had a clear understanding of his own strength. Realizing that he wasn't strong enough, Mo Qingyan didn't waste any more time and immediately immersed himself in his cultivation. He took out a large number of medicinal crystals and piled them around his body as he frantically refined them. As Mo Qingyan continued to refine the medicinal crystals, the aura emanating from his body grew stronger. Chapter 21-21. For the next few days, everything was calm and tranquil. There was not the slightest bit of incident. Because of this, it made people feel that a storm was coming in Thousand Language City. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. After 5 days of planning and arrangement, Thousand Language Manor was back on track, and the new patriarch was chosen. Qian Yulong became the new patriarch, and he quietly brought a group of elders to Flower Language Restaurant to see Mo Qingyan. "Qingyan, Qian Yulong and the others are here." Seeing that Qian Yulong and the others were here, Qian Linglong came to Mo Qingyan and whispered to Mo Qingyan. Hearing Qian Linglong's words, Mo Qingyan opened his eyes and came out of cultivation. He said, "You're quite efficient. That's good. I can take control of Thousand Language City sooner." With the current cultivation speed, It should take another month to break through to the second level of the Nine Heavens Xian Immortal Realm. After coming out of cultivation, Mo Qingyun sensed his cultivation and analyzed the cultivation gains of the past few days. Mo Qingyun muttered a few words to himself, and then he put away all the medicinal crystals and opened the door. Then Qian Linglong and the others came in and greeted Mo Qingyun. Mr. Mo, Thousand Language Manor is back on track. Do you have any instructions next? When Qian Yulong entered the room, he showed a respectful expression and bowed to Mo Qingyun for instructions. After some previous contact, Qian Yulong and the others could see that the one who made the decision was Mo Qingyun. Hearing Qian Yulong's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes immediately became sharp, and he exuded a majestic aura. He said, since this place is called Thousand Language City, everything will be decided by Thousand Language Manor. How can we let other forces go beyond our control? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yulong and the others trembled, and they immediately guessed Mo Qingyun's thoughts. Looking at Mo Qingyun's posture, it seemed that he was going to make a move against the Jinxing Palace, the Heavenly Mandate Pavilion, and the Bloody Corpse Demon Sect, making these powers bow down to him. Thinking of this, Qian Yulong became nervous. He quickly said, Mr. Mo, from what you're saying, are you going to attack the forces in the city? Shouldn't we do that? Mo Qingyun didn't answer Qian Yulong's question. Instead, he asked a question in return. After Mo Qingyun's question, Qian Yulong's face darkened as he said, Mr. Mo, before we came here, a group of people from the Gold Punishment Palace went to the Thousand Language residents and asked us to give them 40% of Thousand Language City's profits. Giving them 40%, their appetite is not small. Hearing Qian Yulong's words, Mo Qingyun squinted his eyes, revealing a cold look. Then, Mo Qingyun looked at Qian Yulong and smiled meaningfully. Did you agree with him? No, I didn't. Qian Yulong shook his head and expressed his attitude. Then, he looked troubled and said, The Gold Punishment Palace is very powerful now. Their strength has slightly surpassed the Thousand Language residents. I didn't dare to fight with them rashly. I wanted to ask Mr. Mo and the Saintess for their opinions. Hearing Qian Yulong's words, Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction and approved of Qian Yulong's actions. He said, How about this? You ask them to meet somewhere. When the time comes, I'll talk to them personally and see what they want. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Yulong's face immediately lit up, and he quickly nodded at Mo Qingyun. After discussing the matter with the Gold Punishment Palace, Qian Yulong frowned and reported to Mo Qingyun, Mr. Mo, not long ago, I received news that the news of Z Gang and the others being killed has spread to Thousand Language City. The Dark Demon Tribe in Thousand Language City has already sent people to Thousand Language City. The news spread pretty fast. Mo Qingyun wasn't surprised by Qian Yulong's report. This was expected. After reporting the news from Thousand Moon City, Qian Yulong and the others left to meet with the people from the Gold Punishment Palace. Originally, I was thinking about how to deal with the Gold Punishment Palace. I didn't expect them to take the initiative to send themselves to me. When Qian Yulong and the others left, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He had thought about how to deal with the Gold Punishment Palace. Mo Qingyun muttered to himself. He stopped cultivating and got up to walk out of the house. He said, Let's go to the Treasure Pavilion and see how Zheng Ping and the others are progressing. Qian Linglong nodded and left with Mo Qingyun. After a while, Mo Qingyun and Qian Linglong arrived at the Treasure Pavilion and went to look for Zheng Ping and the others. At this moment, the Treasure Pavilion was bustling with people. Apart from a portion of people who came to buy things, there was also a portion of people who came to apply for jobs. Hearing that Mo Qingyun wanted to open a branch, Zheng Ping immediately posted a recruitment notice and screened the people from the Treasure Pavilion branch. Seeing this situation, Mo Qingyun nodded in satisfaction and walked into the Treasure Pavilion filled with birds and fragrant flowers. Looking at the current situation, the matter of opening the Treasure Pavilion branch was progressing very smoothly. Mo Qingyun entered the Treasure Pavilion and found Zheng Ping and the others. He asked about the specific progress of the matter. At this time, outside the treasure pavilion, a group of arrogant people came. This group of people had a small golden axe embroidered on their clothes. This was the symbol of their faction. Scram! Scram! Don't block the way here. Seeing the people outside the treasure pavilion, this group of people's faces darkened and they shouted angrily at the crowd. Hearing this, fear appeared on the crowd's faces and they immediately made way for them. They're from the Gold Punishment Palace. That guy is the young lord of the Gold Punishment Palace, Jin Wei. It's said that although Jin Wei is a good-for-nothing, his cultivation talent is superb. He reached the quasi-saint realm in just 3,000 years. If he hadn't been lazy in cultivation, he might have broken through to the saint realm already. Lower your voice. Jin Wei's personality is eccentric and temperamental. Don't let him hear you. When the crowd saw the people from the Gold Punishment Palace arrive, they retreated with fear and whispered in low voices. Jin Wei nodded in satisfaction at everyone's reaction. He looked at the Precious Treasures Pavilion and said, "A tiny Precious Treasures Pavilion has actually caused such a huge commotion. Aren't they a little too ostentatious? I'll teach them a lesson today." As soon as Jin Wei finished speaking, he cocked his head, intending to walk into the treasure pavilion, where birds chirped and flowers bloomed. Seeing this, a middle-aged man beside him immediately tensed up. "Young lord, the treasure pavilion is Mo Qingyun's property. That Mo Qingyun is very overbearing. We'd better not provoke him." "Mo Qingyun? That coward?" Jin Wei curled his lips in disdain when he heard the man beside him. Evidently, he'd heard some rumors about Mo Qingyun. Chapter 21-22. Jin Wei has entered the treasure pavilion. It looks like he's going to stir up trouble. Jin Wei went to provoke Mo Qingyun. Later, we'll be able to determine if the rumors are true. A leopard can't change its spots. I don't believe the rumors that Mo Qingyun is a coward. I don't believe it either, so I'm looking forward to seeing Mo Qingyun beat Jin Wei up. I'm looking forward to it too, huh? Seeing Jin Wei enter the Precious Treasures Pavilion, everyone's faces were filled with anticipation as they followed behind Jin Wei. When Jin Wei saw that everyone had followed him, the smug look on his face became even more intense. In his opinion, beating Mo Qingyun up in front of so many people would feel even better. "Young Master Jin Wei, what brings you here today?" Jin Wei was very famous in Thousand Word City, so the chief steward was no stranger to him. He immediately went to greet him. Jin Wei's expression improved when he saw the chief steward's respectful behavior. He glanced at the chief steward and said, "Cut the crap. Tell your steward to come out. It's that Mo Qingyun or something." "Young Master Jin Wei, are you looking for Mr. Mo?" The chief steward frowned when he heard Jin Wei's words. He looked troubled. Mo Qingyun was discussing important matters with Zheng Ping and the others. It wasn't a good idea to disturb him now. "What? Didn't you hear what I said?" Jin Wei's expression darkened when the chief steward didn't move. He said unhappily, "Or is Mo Qingyun so important that I have to personally invite him over?" "Young Master Jin Wei, please don't be angry. I'll go get Mr. Mo now." The chief steward's expression changed when he saw Jin Wei's actions. He hurriedly comforted Jin Wei. Jin Wei's expression improved when the chief steward comforted him. He found a place to sit down. After comforting Jin Wei and the others, the chief steward didn't hesitate any longer and immediately went to invite Mo Qingyun over. Soon, the chief steward came to Mo Qingyun's room and reported Jin Wei's situation. "Young lord of the Gold Punishment Palace?" After learning about Jin Wei, Mo Qingyun's expression froze for a moment before a playful smile appeared on his face. He hadn't even gone looking for trouble with the Gold Punishment Palace, yet the other party had taken the initiative to come knocking on his door. If that's the case, I'll go out and meet him. Now that he knew Jin Wei's identity and background, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more words. He got up and left the room. Seeing Mo Qingyun walking out of the room, Qin Linglong and the others quickly followed him out of the room with Mo Qingyun. Before long, under the lead of the chief manager, Mo Qingyun saw Jin Wei and the others. Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others arrive, Jin Wei casually stood up and slowly walked towards Mo Qingyun. "You're that cowardly Mo Qingyun?" Arriving before Mo Qingyun, Jin Wei glanced at Mo Qingyun before revealing a disdainful expression. He said, "I originally thought that you would hide with your tail between your legs after learning that I was looking for you. I didn't think that you'd dare to come out. You've surprised me. There will be more things that will surprise you." Mo Qingyun paid no heed to Jin Wei's mockery. He replied indifferently, "Speak. Why have you come looking for me?" Jin Wei raised his head when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He pointed at the crowd outside and said, "Your precious treasures pavilion has been too high profile in your recruitment. I order you to immediately withdraw your recruitment notice." "And if I refuse?" Mo Qingyun's expression became colder when he heard Jin Wei's words. He replied forcefully, "In Thousand Language City, even if you want to meddle in other people's business, it doesn't seem to be the Gold Punishment Palace's turn. It should be the Thousand Language Manor's people." "Brat, do you really not know, or are you just pretending? The Thousand Language Manor only exists in name now." Jin Wei chuckled when he heard Mo Qingyun's words, expressing his disdain for the Thousand Language Manor. He continued, "I believe that it won't be long before the Thousand Language Manor changes its name. I'll say it again. Immediately remove your recruitment notice, or don't blame me for being impolite." Looking at Jin Wei's performance, Mo Qingyun smiled. His smile was very bright. Since Jin Wei was looking for a beating, he could only fulfill his wish. "Just how impolite are you going to be? Hurry up and let me experience it." Mo Qingyun didn't take Jin Wei's threat to heart at all. He looked at Jin Wei provocatively. Jin Wei's expression turned ugly when he saw Mo Qingyun's attitude. He waved his hand at the people behind him and said, "Since Mr. Mo has spoken, don't be a wet blanket. Give him a good treatment. Also, I don't think there's any need for this precious treasure pavilion to continue operating." Yes, the people from the Gold Punishment Palace walked forward with cold smiles on their faces when they heard Jin Wei's instructions. Qian Long and the others' faces turned cold when they saw the actions of the people from the Gold Punishment Palace. They released a powerful aura. Holy aura. 3 holy auras. Jin Wei and the others were shocked when they sensed the auras of Qian Long and the others. Fear appeared on their faces. Since the Gold Punishment Palace was a powerful force in Thousand Language City, ordinary people didn't dare to provoke them. Therefore, Jin Wei didn't bring too many experts with him. Among the people beside Jin Wei, there was only one initial stage sage. Obviously, he wasn't a match for Qian Long and the others. Humph. It's just 3 Saint Realm experts. Do you dare to fight with the Gold Punishment Palace? Jin Wei looked disdainful when he knew the cultivation of Qian Long and the others. He ordered the people behind him, "Don't just stand there. Give Mo Qingyun a good treatment and tear down the precious treasure pavilion. I don't believe that they would dare to fight with the Gold Punishment Palace." Yes, the people from the Gold Punishment Palace no longer hesitated when they heard Jin Wei's order. Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold when he saw the actions of the people from the Gold Punishment Palace. He nodded at Qian Long and the others and said, "Throw them out. If they dare to take half a step into the precious treasure pavilion, kill them without mercy." Yes, Qian Long and the others nodded in response when they heard Mo Qingyun's order. They immediately attacked the people from the Gold Punishment Palace. The people from the Gold Punishment Palace were thrown out like chickens and dogs in the face of Qian Long and the others. Due to Mo Qingyun's special order, although the people from the Gold Punishment Palace were thrown out, Jin Wei was left behind. You dare to attack us?" Jin Wei panicked when he saw his subordinates being thrown out. He didn't expect Mo Qingyun to really attack them. Mo Qingyun smiled contemptuously when he saw Jin Wei's panicked expression. He said coldly, "Do you want to get out of here yourself, or do you want us to send you out? Boy, you're going too far." Jin Wei's expression turned ugly when he saw Mo Qingyun's domineering attitude. His eyes were filled with coldness. Chapter 21-23. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. I'll remember this. Jinwei also knew that it wasn't worth it for him to fight Mo Qingyun head-on in this situation. Jinwei understood this point and didn't linger any longer. He turned around and left the precious treasure pavilion. Wait! Seeing Jinwei's actions, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold. He coldly shouted at him and said, "I told you to get out. Don't you know how to get out? Do you need me to get someone to teach you?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jinwei's expression immediately darkened. He gnashed his teeth and said angrily, "Brat, don't go too far. Don't leave yourself with no way out. Since you don't want to get out, then crawl out." Seeing that Jinwei was still grumbling, Mo Qingyun became impatient and directly slapped him. Before Mo Qingyun could finish his words, Jinwei was sent flying by Mo Qingyun's palm. Bang! Jinwei fell to the ground and made a loud noise, stirring up a cloud of dust. Seeing Jinwei fall to the ground, the Jinxing Palace people panicked. They wanted to rush over to check on Jinwei's injuries. However, before they could get close to the precious treasure pavilion, they were sent flying by Qianling Long and the others. They fell back onto the city road. After being sent flying by Qianling Long and the others again, the Jinxing Palace people didn't get up for a long time. This was because Qianling Long and the others had shown mercy. Otherwise, they would have been killed before Qianling Long and the others could attack again. As for Jinwei, who was sent flying by Mo Qingyun, he was lying on the ground like a dead dog. He didn't move at all. Looking at his current state, it seemed difficult for him to even crawl out. He could only be carried away. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned and couldn't recover for a long time. Wasn't it said that Mo Qingyun was a coward? The Jinxing Palace's strength wasn't any weaker than the thousand-language manor. Why wasn't Mo Qingyun afraid at all? At this moment, the surroundings were quiet. Even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. After a brief moment of silence, the surroundings burst into an uproar. Everyone was whispering to each other. Like I said, how could Mo Qingyun be a coward? Look, he's still as hot-tempered as ever. That's right. Fight them. Don't be a coward. Last time, we didn't get into a fight with the thousand-language manor. This time, we must go head-to-head with the Gold Punishment Palace. Mo Qingyun seems to be too ruthless. He beat Jinwei so badly that he can't get up. It'll be awkward if he can't get out. Isn't that simple? Mo Qingyun gave him another palm strike and sent him flying. Haha, I'm delighted to see this. Mo Qingyun, deal with him. The crowd jeered incessantly. Hearing the jeers of the crowd, Mo Qingyun looked at Jinwei and realized that he had been a little too heavy-handed. I seem to have hit him a little too hard. Looking at Jinwei lying on the ground, Mo Qingyun smiled awkwardly. He waved his hand at Jinwei. Since you can't get out, I'll send you on your way. An astonishing palm strike blasted out from Mo Qingyun's hand and landed on Jinwei's body. Under Mo Qingyun's palm strike, Jinwei was sent flying and fell on the city road like trash. Young Master Jinwei, how are you? Seeing Jinwei being sent flying, the Gold Punishment Palace's people rushed over to check on his injuries. Seeing that Jinwei was still breathing, the Jinxing Palace members breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly lifted him up. Brat, you injured our young Master Jinwei. Just you wait. The people of the Gold Punishment Palace left behind some harsh words. Then, like stray dogs, they hurriedly carried Jinwei and left. From the looks of it, they were afraid that Mo Qingyun would catch up to them if they were even a moment too slow. Mo Qingyun didn't chase after Jinwei and the others as they left. He waved his hand indifferently at the crowd and said, "All right, the matter is settled. You may continue." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored the crowd and turned to walk into the treasure pavilion. As soon as Mo Qingyun turned to leave, a commotion broke out outside the precious treasures pavilion. For Mo Qingyun's domineering attitude, I must join the precious treasures pavilion. Nonsense. You don't need to tell me that. If we join the precious treasures pavilion, who will dare bully us in the future? If we join the precious treasures pavilion now, we'll be senior figures. We'll be the only ones who can bully others. While you're talking, I've already registered my name. For a moment, everyone was in high spirits and eagerly joined the precious treasure pavilion. In their opinion, if they followed someone like Mo Qingyun, they wouldn't have to worry about being bullied. After a while, the chief steward waved his hand at the crowd and picked up the registration scroll. All right, we've recruited 50 people. This recruitment will end here, he said solemnly. When they heard the chief steward's words, those who hadn't been registered immediately looked disappointed. No way? 50 people? You've recruited 50 people so quickly? Chief Steward, please bend the rules and recruit a few more people. Chief Steward, I only want 80% of my pay. Can you take me in as well? Some people who hadn't been selected were unwillingly fighting for their spots, hoping that they would be recruited as an exception. Unfortunately, the chief steward shook his head helplessly at their pleas. I'm sorry, Mr. Mo has already done the calculations. The Precious Treasures Pavilion only needs 50 people. When they heard the chief steward's words, everyone's expressions immediately fell. Intense disappointment appeared on their faces. They knew that since Mo Qingyun had said so, he definitely wouldn't recruit more people. Seeing the disappointment on everyone's faces, the chief steward's expression changed. Everyone, don't blame me for not being selected this time. In my opinion, it won't be long before Mr. Mo opens another branch. It won't be too late for you to come then. When they heard the chief steward's words, everyone's eyes immediately lit up. Anticipation flashed in their eyes. Jinxing Palace. While the recruitment at the Precious Treasures Pavilion was in full swing, Jin Wei and the others returned to the Jinxing Palace. After the journey back, Jin Wei had already woken up. His expression was extremely gloomy. Originally, he had gone to the Precious Treasures Pavilion to use Mo Qingyun to establish his authority. In the end, he had been trampled on by Mo Qingyun. He couldn't take this lying down. He really couldn't accept this change in status. Soon, Jin Wei arrived at the meeting hall of the Jinxing Palace with the help of others. Oh wait, what happened to you? Seeing Jin Wei's miserable state, the palace lord of the Jinxing Palace, Jin Rinhe, asked with concern. When Jin Rinhe asked, a hint of viciousness appeared in his eyes. Jin Wei was the young lord of the Jinxing Palace. Beating him up so badly was tantamount to challenging the Jinxing Palace. Chapter 21-24. Mo Qingyun? Does he have the guts? Like Jin Wei, Jin Rinhe had also heard the rumor that Mo Qingyun was a coward. That was why he was so surprised. In his opinion, since Mo Qingyun knew Jin Wei's identity, he shouldn't have the guts to attack Jin Wei. Seeing Jin Rinhe's reaction, Jin Wei's face was filled with bitterness. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. He knew that Jin Rinhe had also been deceived by the rumor. He really thought that Mo Qingyun was a coward. If it weren't for this rumor, he wouldn't have suffered such a loss. Father, the rumor can't be trusted. Jin Wei looked like he wanted to cry, but had no tears to shed. He said gloomily, if Mo Qingyun is a coward, then there is no one in this world who is brave enough to do so. That guy's courage is so great that he's about to reach the heavens. Oh, so that's how it is. After listening to Jin Wei's explanation, Jin Rinhe nodded in understanding. His expression gradually turned cold as he said, no matter how bold Mo Qingyun is, he dared to hurt my son. He must pay a price for it. As Jin Rinhe's words fell, he stood up and said to an elder beside him, Defun, immediately gather the men and follow me to the Precious Treasure Pavilion. Yes, Palace Master. Hearing Jin Rinhe's order, the old man named Defun immediately went to gather the men. In a short while, Defun gathered a group of men and gathered in front of Jin Rinhe. Defun's team was very strong. There were 3 intermediate Saint Realm experts and 11 early Saint Realm experts. Adding Defun and Jin Rinhe, 2 Saint Realm experts, such a strong team was enough to contend with any force in Thousand Language City. Let's go. After gathering the men, Jin Rinhe didn't waste any more time and immediately left the Jinxing Palace with his men. Seeing Jin Rinhe's action, Jinwei immediately sneered and followed the group back to the treasure pavilion. Not long after, Jin Rinhe arrived at the treasure pavilion under the guidance of Jinwei and the others. Seeing the arrival of Jin Rinhe and the others, the guests in the treasure pavilion immediately showed expressions of awe and fear. Then, they left the pavilion of treasures and gave the place to Jin Rinhe and the others. Jin Rinhe personally brought people here. It seems that Mo Qingyun injuring Jin Wei has really angered him. The troops that Jin Rinhe has brought can be considered to have turned out in full force. I wonder if Mo Qingyun can contend against them. I think it's a little difficult. Will Mo Qingyun choose to compromise under this kind of pressure? Compromise my ass. In my opinion, Mo Qingyun will definitely go against them. That's right, let's fight. Everyone came out of the precious treasure pavilion and surrounded the entrance with expectant looks on their faces. Obviously, these guys weren't afraid of things getting out of hand. They couldn't wait for Mo Qingyun and Jin Rinhe to fight. Under everyone's gaze, Jin Rinhe sat down in the main hall of the treasure pavilion and shouted with a dark expression, Mo Qingyun is there. Tell him to come out and see me. If he doesn't know how to scram, I can have someone teach him to scram. Jin Rinhe's words were clearly giving him a taste of his own medicine. He was using the same method to deal with Mo Qingyun. Seeing Jin Rinhe and the others arrive, the head steward didn't dare to delay and immediately went to pass on the message to Mo Qingyun. With the attitude of Jin Rinhe and the others, he didn't dare to go up and say anything and make himself uncomfortable. Not long after, the head steward came back to the room and said with a tense expression, Mr. Mo, bad news. The Jinxing Palace people are here again. It seems that I went too easy on them just now. They actually dare to come for revenge. Hearing the head steward's words, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly. He stood up from the chair and said, if that's the case, I won't be merciful this time. I'll teach them a lesson. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he walked out of the room and prepared to meet Jin Rinhe and the others. Mr. Mo, it's not like what you think. The situation is much more serious than you think. Seeing Mo Qingyun's relaxed expression, the head steward became anxious. He hurriedly reminded Mo Qingyun and said, the people who have come to the treasure pavilion are the palace lord of the Jinxing Palace, Jin Rinhe, and many saints of the Jinxing Palace. Jin Rinhe is here? Mo Qingyun's expression froze. He was a little surprised by this situation. He didn't expect to meet Jin Rinhe so soon. He originally thought that if he wanted to meet Jin Rinhuan and negotiate, he would need Qian Yulong's recommendation. It's good to meet him early. It'll be easier to negotiate when the time comes. Mo Qingyun didn't care about Jin Rinhe's arrival. He quickly felt relieved. In his opinion, before negotiating with Jin Rinhe, he should teach them a lesson first. It would save him a lot of trouble when the time came. Sigh. Seeing that Mo Qingyun wasn't moved at all, the head steward sighed and didn't say anything else. He directly led the way in front. After a while, Mo Qingyun and the others arrived at the main hall and saw Jin Rinhe and the others who came with ill intentions. Dad, that kid is Mo Qingyun. Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others arrive, Jin Wei's face immediately darkened. He raised his hand and pointed at Mo Qingyun. Following the direction of Jin Wei's finger, Jin Rinhe saw Mo Qingyun. His eyes immediately turned cold and he shouted, Kid, you got guts. How dare you touch my son? How many lives do you have for me to take? I've always been gutsy. Mo Qingyun's expression did not change in response to Jin Rinhe's question. He replied very casually before adding, on the other hand, you've got guts. You've come to provoke me time and time again. Do you think I won't kill you? Jin Rinhe became stunned when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. His eyes narrowed slightly. Afterwards, he studied Mo Qingyun seriously, as if he wanted to see through Mo Qingyun. He suddenly discovered that this Mo Qingyun in front of him was too different from the rumors. Was this guy really that gutless? What a joke. Even the patriarch of the thousand-language manor, Qian Yulong, probably wasn't as gutsy as him. Jin Rinhe discovered this and stopped looking down on Mo Qingyun. He could not help but tense up. Kid, this is the first time someone has spoken to me like that in Thousand Language City. To prevent something like this from happening again, I can only make an example out of you. Attack! Jean Renha did not waste any more words. He immediately ordered the experts of the Gold Punishment Palace to attack. After receiving Jean Renha's order, the experts of the Gold Punishment Palace quickly surrounded Mo Qingyun and the others. Seeing the actions of the experts of the Gold Punishment Palace, Qian Linglong's pretty face turned cold. She released a powerful aura. Sage Realm Advanced Stage. Sensing Qian Linglong's aura, Jean Renha's expression immediately trembled and his pupils shrank. The woman beside Mo Qingyun was actually a Sage Realm Advanced Stage expert. This was something he did not know. Chapter 21-25. While Jean Renha was still in a daze, Qian Linglong waved her hand and blasted out a terrifying saint power. The saint power blasted out from Qian Linglong's palm and turned into a shadow that blasted towards the experts of the Gold Element Palace. Faced with Qian Linglong's attack, the experts of the Gold Element Palace paled and hurriedly used all their strength to resist. However, the gap between their strength and Qian Linglong's was too big. Bang, bang, bang. Under Qian Linglong's attack, the experts of the Gold Element Palace were immediately blasted away. Seeing such a scene, the people outside the treasure pavilion were so shocked that their eyes widened. The woman beside Mo Qingyun is so strong. She knocked down the experts of the Gold Element Palace in one move. No wonder Mo Qingyun is so arrogant. He has such an expert by his side. Why do I feel that Mo Qingyun is stronger than that beauty? You must be mistaken. If Mo Qingyun is stronger, how strong would he be? Who cares what force he is from? What I want to see the most is a fight. Seeing Qian Linglong's strength, the surrounding people were envious and admired Mo Qingyun even more. While the crowd was still in shock, Jean Wei's face was filled with madness and disbelief. He said, "No, impossible. He's just a nine heavens Qian immortal. How can he have so many experts following him?" Hearing Jean Wei's words, Jean Renha's heart thumped as he thought of a terrible situation. Mo Qingyun didn't have this ability. This meant that the force behind him was so strong that these experts were willing to submit to him. How strong was this force to be able to make late-stage Saint Realm experts submit? Even the Dark Devil clan couldn't do it. Jean Renha forced himself to calm down and glanced at Qian Linglong with fear. He said, "Mo Qingyun, although she's a late-stage Saint Realm expert, she may not be able to do anything to me if I go all out. As for Zheng Ping and the others behind you, they can't stop my subordinates." Hearing Jean Renha's words, Mo Qingyun grinned and didn't refute Jean Renha's words. Then, an aura stronger than Qian Linglong appeared beside Mo Qingyun. Another Saint Realm expert. Sensing Mo Qingyun's aura, Jean Renha's body trembled and his face turned pale. At this moment, he wanted to slap himself. Who said that Mo Qingyun couldn't do anything to them? Mere Mermaid. Seeing the sky-devouring mermaid empress, Jean Renha recognized her origin. His eyes flashed with intense shock. He had read about the rumors of mermaids in ancient books. According to the records, the merfolk's ancient times, the mermans is the ancient era. It's a mermans is mermans jins. His says, looking at the shocked Jean Renha, Mo Qingyun had a faint smile on his face as he asked unhurriedly, "What is it?" Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, Jean Renha felt as if he was a little lamb being stared at by a ferocious tiger. More importantly, if Qian Linglong and the King Devourer worked together, they could kill them in one round. Thinking of this, Jean Renha's face immediately turned ugly. His mind quickly turned. Jean Renha pondered for a moment. Then his eyes lit up as he thought of an idea. Mo Qingyun, you're already an expert. What's the point of relying on women? Jean Renha glanced at Qian Linglong and Qian Linglong with a disdainful expression, showing his disdain for Mo Qingyun. Seeing Jean Renha's actions, King Devourer's face immediately turned cold. He shouted angrily, "Against a small fry like you, There's no need for Master to do anything. Just leave it to me. Master? Hearing King Devourer's words, Jean Renha's eyelids twitched. He knew the meaning of the word master. This meant that King Devourer and the others were Mo Qingyun's own subordinates. This meant that Mo Qingyun's battle prowess didn't come from his faction. The meaning behind this was different. His Jins, you're also an expert. What's the point of using such a low-level provocation? Hearing Jean Renha's words, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed what he was thinking. He knew that Jean Renha was trying to provoke him. Do you think that I, a 9-heaven Xian immortal, will fight with you, a peak middle stage Saint Realm expert? Under Mo Qingyun's questioning, Jean Renha's old face turned red, and he felt embarrassed. With his peak middle stage Saint Realm cultivation, it was indeed too shameless for him to fight with a 9-heaven Xian immortal. While Jean Renha was feeling embarrassed, Mo Qingyun changed the topic and said with a smile, "Although I know that you're trying to provoke me, I still fell for your trick. Under your provocation, I really decided to fight with you. You know that I'm trying to provoke you, but you still decided to fight with me?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jean Renha suddenly felt that his brain was not enough. What kind of logic is this? Is Mo Qingyun stupid? Seeing Jean Renha's reaction, Qian Linglong and the others shook their heads without saying a word. Their eyes flashed with sympathy. If he knew Mo Qingyun's true strength, he would not think this way. Of course, Qian Linglong and the others would not say anything about this. Seeing the reaction of Qian Linglong and the others, Jean Renha's heart skipped a beat. He faintly felt that something was wrong. The situation seemed to be very different from what he had imagined. What? You don't dare? Looking at the hesitant Jean Renha, Mo Qingyun smiled contemptuously and provoked Jean Renha. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jean Renha was furious. No matter what tricks Mo Qingyun was playing, he was an expert at the peak of the intermediate Saint Realm. How could he be scared by a 9 heavens mysterious immortal? Kid, you asked for it. I didn't want to bully you. Jean Renha's face darkened. He directly blasted his palm toward Mo Qingyun. Majestic saint energy gathered in his palm. Sacred River, Forbidden Spirit Palm. The saint energy converged and turned into streams that swirled toward Mo Qingyun. Under the cover of these streams, everyone immediately realized that it was many times more difficult to circulate the energy in their bodies. Heavenly Demon Star, Splitting Palm. Facing the Sacred River, Forbidden Spirit Palm, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. He immediately circulated the creation energy in his body. The creation energy was of a higher level than the immortal spiritual energy and saint energy. It was not affected by Jean Renha's palm energy. A terrifying creation energy quickly gathered in Mo Qingyun's palm and turned into a huge black palm. The giant black palm was formed, and with a momentum that covered the sky, it crushed down toward Jean Renha. So strong. Seeing the power of Mo Qingyun's palm, Jean Renha's expression immediately changed and his body trembled. He truly did not expect that Mo Qingyun's strength would be strong to such an extent. This was a little unreasonable. Chapter 21-26. Puff, puff, puff. Under the attack of Mo Qingyun's palm, the stream of saint energy that enveloped him was instantly dispersed. The giant black palm destroyed the stream of saint energy. Its attack power did not diminish and continued to suppress Jean Renha. Looking at the rapidly approaching giant black palm, Jean Renha did not dare to hesitate and hurriedly raised his hand to block it. However, Jean Renha's combat strength was limited in his haste. He could not block the giant black palm at all. It could not be helped. Even Zi Gang, who was in the later stage of Saint Realm, could not block Mo Qingyun's palm, let alone Jean Renha. Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's palm, Jean Renha was directly sent flying and fell heavily on the ground. Seeing such a scene, everyone was stunned as if they were petrified. Even a powerful existence like Jean Renha could not block Mo Qingyun's palm. Was there anything more shocking than this? The guy who said that Mo Qingyun is a coward and is afraid of Thousand Language Mansion stepped forward now. With Mo Qingyun's strength, would he be afraid of Thousand Language Mansion? Mo Qingyun disdains to be calculative with Thousand Language Mansion. This is more like it. Mo Qingyun's strength is so strong. Joining Bird Song Flower Fragrance Treasure Pavilion made the right bet. Seeing the strength that Mo Qingyun displayed, everyone's expression was agitated, and they started to discuss from the side. Compared to other people's feelings, Jean Wei's current feelings were like a bottle of mixed feelings that had been knocked over. He did not expect that even his father was not a match for Mo Qingyun. This time, he kicked an iron plate. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Mo Qingyun slowly walked toward Jean Rinhe and said with a smile, "Palace Master Jean, you're too polite. You actually took the initiative to let me hit you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jean Rinhe was immediately stunned. His brain could not wrap itself around it. Did he let Mo Qingyun go? While Jean Rinhe was still in a daze, the others immediately understood why Jean Rinhe had been sent flying. It turned out that in the exchange, just now, Jean Rinhe did not use his true strength, but let Mo Qingyun hit him with a palm. "Palace Lord, there's no need to be courteous with this brat. Just teach him a lesson. That's right. This isn't a fair fight. There's no need to go easy on him. Brat, our Palace Lord doesn't want to bully the weak. Just now, he intentionally let you hit him. Now, you have to be careful." At this moment, the experts of the Gold Punishment Palace were all feeling indignant. Looking at the performance of the Gold Punishment Palace, Jean Rinhe's mood became gloomy to the extreme. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Others might not know, but how could he not know? In the exchange just now, he didn't give in to Mo Qingyun at all. Instead, he was sent flying by Mo Qingyun. Even if he fought Mo Qingyun again, the result would still be the same. He would be crushed by Mo Qingyun. The difference in strength between him and Mo Qingyun was not just a little bit big. He had no chance of winning. This brat deliberately said that I let him hit me. Could it be that he's worried about admitting defeat and not fighting? Just as Jean Rinhe was feeling gloomy, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. He understood the intention of Mo Qingyun's words. Guessing Mo Qingyun's thoughts, Jean Rinhe's body trembled. His expression immediately darkened. This brat is terrifyingly scheming. Unknowingly, I actually fell into his trap. I'm in a situation where I can't back down. Jean Rinhe knew very well that Mo Qingyun had raised him so high. If he still avoided the fight, he would have no face left in the future. A man lives by his face, a tree lives by its bark. He couldn't lose this face. Looking at the gloomy and silent Jean Rinhe, Mo Qingyun said with a faint smile, "Palace Lord Jean, you've already let me hit you. Now, let's fight with all our strength." "You." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jean Rinhe was immediately furious. His face immediately flushed red. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun was doing this on purpose. He was deliberately trying to anger him. Without waiting for Jean Rinhe to refute, Mo Qingyun pretended to be surprised. He looked at Jean Rinhe and said in shock, "Palace Lord Jean, I only used 10% of my strength in that hit. Don't tell me you don't have the strength to fight after taking that hit from me? 10%? 10% your sister." If it weren't for his identity, Jean Rinhe would have cursed out loud when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. Just now, Mo Qingyun's hit almost took his life. Even if it wasn't 100%, it was at least 80 to 90%. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Jean Rinhe stopped talking nonsense. He knew that he couldn't win against Mo Qingyun. If he continued to talk, he was afraid that Mo Qingyun wouldn't even need to make a move. His words alone would anger him to death. Netherworld River Palm. Jean Rinhe's palms moved quickly, pushing out waves of powerful saint energy that turned into a wide blood-red river. The blood-red river was formed like a blood-red waterfall, pouring down towards Mo Qingyun. In the impact of the blood-red waterfall, bull-headed ghost soldiers emerged one after another, waving their weapons and slashing at Mo Qingyun. The strength of these bull-headed ghost soldiers was comparable to a Saint Realm expert. It made people's expression change. Palace Lord's Netherworld River Palm is more powerful than before. With the power of Palace Lord's Palm, even an ordinary late-stage Saint Realm expert might not be able to take it. Mo Qingyun's strength is only comparable to an ordinary late-stage Saint Realm expert. In my opinion, he definitely won't be able to take it. Let's see how arrogant he could be after he's sent flying by Palace Lord's Palm. Chapter 21-27. Palace Lord was still defeated by Mo Qingyun. How could it be like this? Doesn't this mean that Mo Qingyun's true strength is above Palace Lord's? Mo Qingyun is really strong. Even if Jin Rinha fought with all his strength, he still wasn't his opponent. I knew it. Mo Qingyun definitely won't lose. He's a professional face-slapping expert. That's right. Those who came to challenge him didn't get any advantage. Seeing Jin Rinha defeated, everyone's mood was different. They all sighed with emotion. After sending Jin Rinha flying with one blow, Mo Qingyun didn't make another move. He slowly walked towards Jin Rinha. Palace Lord Jin, you let me hit you just now, causing your strength to not be at its peak. This time, I won with an unfair advantage. Go back and rest for a few days. We'll fight another day. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jin Rinha almost fainted. A scene of 10,000 alpacas running through his mind appeared. Fight. Fight your sister. Are you trying to bully me on purpose? Although he was depressed, Jin Rinha didn't show it. He just smiled awkwardly. In any case, Mo Qingyun's words gave him a way out of this embarrassing situation. Let's go. Jin Rinha got up with difficulty. He didn't talk nonsense with Mo Qingyun and directly waved his hand to his subordinates. After Jin Rinha's words, he no longer hesitated. He turned around and left with his tail between his legs. Seeing Jin Rinha's actions, everyone from Jinxing Palace was stunned. Their minds couldn't recover for a long time. With Jin Rinha's temper, he wouldn't let it go so easily after suffering such a big loss. For a moment, the experts of the Gold Punishment Palace all looked at each other. After a short moment of shock, the experts from Jinxing Palace left with Jin Rinha. Although they didn't understand why Jin Rinha's personality had changed, they didn't ask. As long as they weren't idiots, they could clearly see that Jin Rinha was in a terrible mood. Mo Qingyun didn't stop Jin Rinha and the others from leaving. He just smiled meaningfully. In any case, it wouldn't be long before he would meet Jin Rinha again. There would be plenty of opportunities to deal with them. The people from the Gold Punishment Palace have left. It seems that they have admitted defeat. Mo Qingyun is still the best. From today onwards, let's see who dares to call Mo Qingyun a coward. A bunch of fools. Mo Qingyun doesn't want to bother with the thousand-language manner. How could he be afraid of them? After this incident, everyone's impression of Mo Qingyun underwent a 360-degree change. Jin Rinha left just like that. Seeing the people from the Gold Punishment Palace leave, the head manager was stunned. He felt that everything was a little unreal. The menacing Jin Rinha and his men were beaten up for nothing and left with their tails between their legs. This was not their style of doing things. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's image in the chief steward's heart instantly soared. Regarding everyone's thoughts, Mo Qingyun didn't pay attention to it. Raising his hand, he pointed to the surroundings and said, "Head manager, you bring people to tidy up this place and accept guests again." When Mo Qingyun's words fell, he walked into the Precious Treasure Pavilion and continued to instruct Zheng Ping, two people. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, the chief steward immediately responded and brought people to clean up the Precious Treasure Pavilion's main hall. Before long, the Precious Treasure Pavilion's main hall was cleaned up. Everything returned to normal. When the Precious Treasure Pavilion returned to normal, Jin Rinha and the others returned to the Gold Punishment Palace. Gold Punishment Palace, inside the Assembly Hall. Dad, are we just going to let this matter go like this? Looking at Jin Rinha at the top of the Assembly Hall, Jin Wei's expression was gloomy as he uttered these words. He had run amok in the thousand-language city for many years, but he had never suffered so much like this time. Hearing Jin Wei's words, Jinrenha's expression was equally ugly. He said in a helpless tone, "What else can we do? That brat's true strength is comparable to a late Sage Realm expert. In addition, he has 2 late Sage Realm experts helping him. This kind of strength isn't something we can contend with." Although Jin Wei was unwilling to accept this, he could only choose to remain silent after hearing Jinrenha's words. There was no other way. The gap between their strength and Mo Qingyun's wasn't ordinary. Mo Qingyun isn't someone we can provoke. It's better not to offend him in the future. Seeing that Jin Wei was still unwilling to accept this, Jinrenha sighed and persuaded him. He said, "It's already very fortunate that we were able to keep our lives this time. We won't be so lucky next time." Hearing Jinrenha's words, Jin Wei nodded in agreement and didn't refute. If they had offended a bloodthirsty person, they would have been killed long ago. At this moment, while Jinrenha and the others were talking, an old man walked in with a tense expression. "Palace Master, the people from Thousand Language Mansion are here." The old man walked into the main hall and reported to Jinrenha with a solemn expression. Hearing the old man's words, Jinrenha's face turned ugly. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth and said, "These guys from the Thousand Language Mansion really know how to pick the time. They actually came to negotiate at this time. Looks like they're taking advantage of the situation." In Jinrenha's opinion, Thousand Language Mansion and the others were clearly trying to take advantage of the fact that they were severely injured to make them hesitate. "Elderly D, bring them to the side hall first. I will meet them later." Jinrenha remained silent for a while before he instructed the old man.